Yeah, this lecture we're going to deal with the clones. The history of the clones, the history of Hitler and the occult. We're going to go into a lot of things. I'm going to go into it. The people that heard it the last time, we're going to go into an extensive thing on the clones today, because that's what the key is. The clones, and based on melatonin, the missions of that. When I say melatonin, I'm not talking about melanin. I'm talking about melatonin, the missions of that based on white people, because it's some things that's dealing with that we need to know at this particular time where we are in our development. What we're going to do is we're going to deal with that. So let's see here. I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll pour libations for those people. I guess like this time, like any other time, is we need to start pouring libations as well as feeding their ancestors. Anytime you have a plate of food, you fix you some. It doesn't have to be a big plate. It's just a matter of, you don't have to fix them. You just get a little sauce if you want to. But if you got enough food, just fix them a whole full course meal. That's up to you. And some people say, well, do we leave it up the whole week, or what we do with it? I don't know. Basically, what I do is, if I fix them a plate of food, you don't necessarily have to fix them 3 meals a day, or you might go out and buy special food for them. They like a lot of fruits, so you might just go and buy some fruits just for them. You see, just for them. That's one way to do it. Some people say, well, what do you do after you cook your next meal the next morning? Well, I just dump that out and put some more in. It depends on what you want to do. You might want to fix something for the week. Depends on how much food you got. You might want to go out and buy them something, but feed the ancestors, because after a while, after you start feeding them, the energy becomes stronger in your house, and all, because more and more ancestors will understand that you're putting out food, so the energy will become stronger in your house. You need strong energy in your house for the simple fact that at this particular times, with the way things are going on and it's all crazy, that will be your blocking, that will be your protection. If you put the energy in your house and stuff, hell, somebody might go and shoot a gun up in there and the bullet hit the air and ricochet and kill them. It can be done if the spirits are blocking for you. You see, when I went to New York and all, when I went to New York, the place I went, I didn't know it was going to be like a church setting, and it was, and sometimes when you deal with church people, it's a little hostile environment, but it wasn't necessarily the church people, because all the Afrocentric community came out, but the place where I was at, you see. So I said, well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I want to pour the libations so they can block, and they came in and blocked so damn good, you see. So you want your front line blocking for you, just like if you was a damn quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So based on that, you need to also hook up the ancestors so they can hook you up. You see what I'm saying? So these are some things also too. A lot of people are not having a lot of problems. They're having a lot of problems financially, socially, and on the mundane level, and they know this knowledge, but what they'll do is a lot of them will run and try to come in, I want to do a ritual, I'm having these problems, and I need to do this to the ancestors and all this kind of stuff. And the key is, and sometimes they do the rituals and they don't work. The key is not to go to the ancestors when you are in the time of need, is to do the stuff then. Do it now, so therefore if something goes down, then it's just like you've always been dealing with them before. So it's just like the brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? You got a person walk by your fucking house and don't speak. You know what I'm saying? And he get in some damn trouble and he gonna come knock on your door. Brothers and sisters be like, oh, no, I know you ain't coming to me. You see, well, it's the same thing. There's nothing but your ancestors. They got the same mind. And if you understand the Yoruba mythology, you will see they have the same type of mind. Because it's you. Is it not written in your law that you are God? So don't think that they're stupid. You don't give a fuck about them, because remember now, it's all mental. So all of a sudden, you don't give a damn about them, but you get in some trouble. Oh, I think I need to go and do this for the ancestors so they can bless me. It ain't going down that way. They want you to get down with them now. You see, in their program. So you do things in the spiritual world now, long before it comes to the point whereas you need their help, and then all of a sudden, you got to plead and beg and all this here. Not saying that they won't help you, but on the other hand, they are tired. Well, especially you, because I'm not talking, basically everybody in here is basically what you call on the frequency. So basically, let's say if it was a person from Alabama or somebody in the inner city or someplace that never dealt with the Spirit before, but they wasn't privy to this knowledge. They didn't know this information. And they just said, I want to turn to something spiritual to help me. Well, the spirits will help them because they understand that those particular people don't know. And for the mere fact that they're turning to the Spirit, that's also an honor. But for the brothers and sisters that know, for whom much is given, much is required, and because you know, it's no excuse, you see. So it's no excuse. So we need to start dealing with some stuff and dealing with the spiritual world, because a lot of people, I know people now, a lot of rituals or a lot of things they're doing is not working for them. It's because they only turn to the Spirit when their ass is in trouble. You see what I'm saying? And that's the wrong way. So you see what I'm saying? You need to start doing things now. And basically, and one other thing too, don't do things to the Spirit for the simple fact also that you're looking for something in return. You're supposed to be doing this anyway, because this is vital for the world, and that's what you are. You're a spirit. So you're talking about your own essence. So one way to stop to counter this stuff is just don't say, I'm going to do some things for the Spirit just in case I need some help. The key is you're supposed to be working in this stuff. You see, working in this stuff. Anytime you can see the damn cracker capitalizing on our juice, you know we're supposed to be getting down with it. Check. All right, so let's pull these guys, and we'll call some other ones out also. All right, Tether, Ashe, Shakma, Ashe, Bina, Ashe, Chesed, Ashe, Deborah, Ashe, Tippereth, Ashe, Naxar, Ashe, Hard, Ashe, Yased, Ashe, Malkuth, Ashe, Das, Ashe, Aether, Ashe, Helios, Ashe, Magnemeta, Ashe, Jupiter, Ashe, Mars, Ashe, Helios, Ashe, Pluto, Ashe, Venus, Ashe, Mercury, Ashe, Diana, Ashe, Rhea, Ashe, Ceres, Ashe, Aether, Ashe, Honorius, Ashe, Rhea, Ashe, Zeus, Ashe, Ares, Ashe, Apollo, Ashe, Aphrodite, Ashe, Hermes, Ashe, Artemis, Ashe, Demeter, Ashe, Osir, Ashe, Heru, Ashe, Raheru Kahudi, Ashe, Harpocrates, Ashe, Tahuti, Ashe, Maat, Ashe, Ptah, Ashe, Sut, Ashe, Amin-Ra, Ashe, Ra, Ashe, Apit, Ashe, Nut, Ashe, Tyre, Ashe, Anubis, Ashe, Heru, Ashe, Isis, Ashe, Ashe, Nebtert, Ashe, Yema, Ashe, Mem, Ashe, Minivis, Ashe, Odin, Ashe, Frigda, Ashe, Balda, Ashe, Laki, Ashe, Thor, Ashe, Freya, Ashe, Freya, Ashe, Sith, Ashe, Nerthris, Ashe, Brahmin, Ashe, Bravini, Ashe, Vishnu, Ashe, Ramachandra, Ashe, Shiva, Ashe, Indrasuda, Ashe, Sita, Ashe, Hanuman, Ashe, Lakshmi, Ashe, Jensia, Ashe, Damawalawedo, Ashe, Marasha, Ashe, Bridget, Ashe, Odum Gwerdi, Ashe, Ogo Furele, Ashe, Ogu Shango, Ashe, Ozuli, Ashe, Legba, Ashe, Edowedo, Ashe, Zaka, Ashe, Papagede, Ashe, Ife, Ashe, Nakumpa, Ashe, Umbule Belinga, Ashe, Unkulukulu, Ashe, Alapi, Ashe, Batala, Ashe, Adudawa, Ashe, Arunla, Ashe, Ashun, Ashe, Ogun, Ashe, Shango, Ashe, Elegba, Ashe, Yemenya, Ashe, Arisha Oku, Ashe, Oya, Ashe, Oladumare, Ashe. Okay, now, let's see. Let's name out some more because we got a little more water. Let's see here. Let's see. Ashe, Sut, Ashe, Al-Sut, Ashe, Mamu, Ashe, Asta, Ashe, Tyert, Ashe, Dagon, Ashe, Hut, Ashe, Awas, Ashe, Thunderdog, Ashe, Thunderbird, Ashe, Wolfman, Ashe, Jack, Ashe, Kakchidi, Ashe, Inanna, Ashe, Ishtar, Ashe, Lilith, Ashe, Vashashetu, Ashe, okay, hold on, Delilah, Ashe, Samson, Ashe, Sutan, Ashe, Shaitan, Ashe, Newt, Ashe, let's see, let me keep on, Sutek, Ashe, Atan, Ashe, Melchizedek, Ashe, Medura Atan, Ashe, Metatron, Ashe, Bar Sutek, Ashe, okay, let's see, Ashe, Sekhmet, Ashe, Sashet, Ashe, Selket, Ashe, Pass, Ashe, Pele, Ashe, Vashashetu, Ashe, Ankoff Nakansu, Ashe, okay, Cthulhu, Ashe, Mithra, Ashe, Yog Sathos, Ashe, Hastar, Ashe, Nyarlathotep, Ashe, Shub-Niggurath, Ashe, Ashe, Azathoth, Ashe, Buddha, Ashe, Krishna, Ashe, Jeshua ben Pandera, Ashe, Moses, Ashe, Samuel, I say Michael, I say Haniel, I say Bubiel, I say Lashiel, I say Aniel, I say Gabriel, I say Michael, I say Imperial, I say, give me some more. I say, okay, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I say Noble Drew Ali, I say Marcus Garvey, I say Malcolm X, I say Martin Luther King, I say Jimi Hendrix, I say, good. I say, okay, to all gods known and unknown, I say. So, let's see, you know how we do the drill on the ancestors. What we're going to do is I'm going to call on my Irene Shaw, I say Ali Hemmitt Sr., I say Ali Hemmitt Jr., I say Grandmother Hemmitt, I say Great-Grandmother Hemmitt, I say Great-Grandfather Davis, I say Mabel D. Ford, I say Tom Ford, I say all the Hemmitt family, I say all the Shaw family, I say all the Davis family, I say. Okay now, when I count to 3, you start calling out the ancestors, all you know, gone and whatever. 1, 2, 3. I say, 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 to all gods known and unknown, I say, to all ancestors known and unknown, I say, and I'm going to give a special I say to Adam Clayton Powell because I'm going to talk about him a little bit, some things, I say. Now, to deal with that, I guess we'll get right with the issue, since we're right behind the King Center, we'll deal with that type thing right now. What happened was Adam Clayton Powell was the real deal one that was the one that started the whole civil rights thing, but it was in a whole nother fashion than what it was. Now, even though he was a bit on the side of an aristocrat or whatever you want to call it, you got to understand this part, that whole political thing, you got to understand that that's the vehicle that he chose. But as Brother Juju said, he had a lot of spiritual things that was dealing with him and going for him at a particular time. Just so happened that what we know now, and we've heard about the history of, they've always had the history of a dualism going on when it came to the black leadership. The black leadership ever since, and it's funny, we found out that, and I never thought about this, that we had the Book of Law that was established by the angel Awas, or the god Awas, in 1904. Also, the Boule was established in 1904. Now, we also know that, every time we had a positive black revolutionary leader, we also had the white boys' rendition of that positive black revolutionary leader. So, you know, you would have Du Bois and Marcus Garvey would be the one that's on the left, and Du Bois would be on the right. And when I say right is, let's put it this way, Marcus Garvey would be on the right because that's our right-hand side, and Du Bois would be on the left. You see what I'm saying? Because we got that whole Boule action and also the Niagara movement with Du Bois and that whole thing that went up with the NAACP as well as the whole Boule thing. But we also now know that one thing happened based on the science of Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1931, which was also the key to the Book of Law, is the number 31, and 3 times 31 is 93, and 93 is also the number of Awas, as well as and also 418. We'll get into that later on for question and answers. But we also know that at that particular time in 1931, Master Farad Muhammad, who was the pet project of the Sufis, came and visited Honorable Elijah Muhammad and also hooked him up with the knowledge, the 4th grade education knowledge that in actuality in this particular time has now become more superior than the actual Afrocentric knowledge, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. But we also know that 20 years to the day after 1931 would have to be 1951. In 1951, that Malcolm X was got out of jail. Now we understand based on the numbers, and we also understand based on what is called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the knowledge of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we also understood that the European knew that Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the Elijah that was prophesied to come to be the forerunner to the Christ. They knew it, and little did we know that even through a particular congressional motorcade down the streets of Washington, D.C. for him when he went to speak before these congressional people and doomed them all to hell. But they knew who he was, you see. But they understood that he was supposed to be a forerunner, but also they understood that 20 years down the road that after the forerunner becomes Christ. So they was thinking that Malcolm X was the Christ. You see. And so therefore they had started throwing World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. All these wars was established after the Book of Law to somehow send people to the front line, black people to the front line to kill the Christ. They said, well, we'll just put on these wars, and so therefore we will somehow kill the Christ. That's why the Persian Gulf War was very key also, because 1991 they understood based on the prophecies of what's that white girl, the big prophecy woman, Jean Dixon, that also. She said that the Antichrist would be around 30 in the year 1991, 1992. But by the esoteric studies, the white boy knew that the Antichrist was actually our Christ. So therefore, they had to start that war in 1991 also too. Now, this is the key. Based on that, they understood about the numbers of Malcolm, and Malcolm getting out in 51 and was also in the nation before he got out. This was key why they had to groom their pet project to counter that, and that is the reason why they made Operation Martin Luther King as the fake leader to counter Honorable Elijah Muhammad's movements, which they thought that this young person that put the Nation of Islam on the map based on his oratory skills as, Malcolm X, based on Harlem and all that, they had to go to the South and fashion this particular black leader based on the black churches that the Illuminati and the government has had control over, because they started this shit with the Freedmen's Bureau. So based on those black churches, they had to go in and they had to have a pet project, and so therefore this is why they groomed Martin Luther King, based on the Niagara movement, based on the NAACP, based on all of this particular thing. The Jews and these particular elite black people started the civil rights movement to always get this particular black leader. So that particular black leader that they started in the civil rights movement was supposed to be the white man's rendition of the Christ, because they thought that Malcolm was the Christ. And that is why it was crucial, and they worked around the clock, while they was also keeping the rest of the country out, because they put Martin on TV and keeping the rest of the country focused away from Malcolm X. They were setting up ways and working around the clock so they could kill Malcolm, you see, by giving you Martin Luther King. And that is why also to this day, most of the people in the 80s, most of the children that was born in the 60s, by the 80s, they didn't learn about Malcolm until the late 80s. They went through the 70s and most of the 80s, and they didn't learn about Malcolm until we just now learning about Malcolm, you see. And they did this to keep it out of the area of the masses of black people, even though it was a mass movement. But the key is we understand the mass movement does not go down in history, because we don't write history, so therefore not unless the TV predicts it, it doesn't go down. So that's why we understand why the United States government was also, as well as the Jews, writing Martin Luther King speeches, as well as I Had a Dream speech. You see, and also in the book, the Passover plot, they give you a whole, even in the studying the Dead Sea Scroll, they understood that the whole Christ, the priest Messiah of Elijah would go unnoticed by the masses of Israel, which Israel just means black people in the later days. So we understand that they've always used that to try to counter. And as you notice now, most of the people that you see, anytime that they want to counter anything that they would call progressive, as far as whether it be revolution on the mundane or revolution in the spiritual level, they always bring up Martin Luther King. As well as, if you notice, the counter with the whole thing about the trial with Chris Darden the next day after doggone Johnny Cochran rocked they behinds, they had to bring up their fucking Martin Luther King bullshit. Because Martin Luther King is the man that they put in place to counter all particular revolutionary type of teachings that would liberate you, to give you the Martin Luther King, which Martin Luther King is probably the worst phenomenon that ever happened to black people. But then again, we also know that Martin Luther King was a messiah for white people, you see, was a messiah for white people. So they used this to counter the certain type of element of the certain element of black liberation, as well as the new messiah for them is they have come out that this whole Lord Maitreya that will not work, so the new Messiah will be Colin Powell, based on what they're trying to do. And if you get the book, The Messianic Legacy, it tells you that the Messiah, based on the dealing with the script of the Dead Sea Scroll, that the European has been going with his whole monarchy, or his whole control system, whether his presidents as well as his kings was based on their following a pattern of what the Messiah would do. So your president is your Messiah. That's why black people got all crazy on election day when they got this clone up in there, and I'm going ahead of myself, and they elected Plowboy Bill Clinton. He is a Messiah to most of the people who are not in consciousness, and is not looking for the president to liberate themselves. So let's go into some things. Also, you've noticed that they are dealing with this Dalai Lama. Now, the Dalai Lama is supposed to be a spiritual man from Tibet, and now he's touring the United States. He's touring the United States, and anytime they put you on the media, now he goes on Nightline. And what this Dalai Lama that's touring, he's a clone. We'll go into the cloning in a few minutes. But what it is about him is he's working for the government, so the government has now got him a spiritual person from Tibet. And so when Ted Koppel asked him, is this world in trouble? Now, Ted Koppel knows enough to know that America is doomed. They asked the Dalai Lama, is this world in trouble? And the Dalai Lama said, well, based on what I see, America, even though there's a lot of bad things going on, that's obvious. He said, even though there's a lot of bad things, the world is getting better. Right there, you know that ain't no damn spiritual man. To say that the doggone world is getting better, you see, you know that ain't no doggone spiritual man. Any fool knows that. In his scriptures, I don't give a damn what book he comes from. He knows that he's going against any book. I don't give a damn if it's Book of the Dead, Tibetan Book of the Dead, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, the Holy Bible, any of the books. You know, in the latter days, it don't supposed to get any better. And we can bear witness to that. So he's saying that it is getting better. So obviously this man has got to be a fake or a clone, for the simple fact he hadn't looked at our situation. You see, to say that the world is getting better, and we know that the world is actually going to global holocaust based on the cracker. Thanks. This is exactly what I need, some honey. You see. So we know that it's not getting any better, but he's a clone. We're going to deal with a lot of that today, because they're going to send you the Messiah through these clones. And we'll deal with that in a few minutes when I go into the history of the clones. Now you got the brother named Solomon. Anybody know Solomon? Anybody ever went to see Solomon? Now Solomon now is done put up billboards in Chicago, putting up billboards in doggone Chicago saying that he's Allah. Now how is it? Now this is what get me. How is it you going along your path, you read, you studying, and a man blows into town overnight, last summer, announce he's Allah in 2 lectures and get 100 people from Atlanta to follow him. You see what I'm saying? Now he's putting up big billboards in Atlanta, in Chicago, saying he was Allah, as well as told the people that he was stripped naked in Wrigley Field and let the white man take a shot at him just to show that he's Allah. And people follow this fool. See what I'm saying? Now, what happens is, based on the ego, what happens is a lot of people, they can't take the knowledge and also the power that goes with knowledge, so therefore they start going a little crazy, you see. So there again, everybody's looking for a Messiah, and if you're looking for a Messiah, you'll get a Messiah, you see. And see, basically, most of these particular people, if they, like I said, if they're the Messiah, you say, well, hey, if anybody come to you and tell you the Messiah, you say, okay, well, look, I got this gun, let's see, I'm going to shoot you. You say, well, we'll give you the Messiah test. Let's see, I'm going to put the gun and put it to your brains, and if you outlive that, I'll follow your ass. You see. So, that. Now, some things that you got to understand that is in the last days, you got to understand that the government is now doing some of the worst things, because the government has studied the people, and the government understands that the people are emotionally crazy. They know that, black and white, there's all these problems. So the people need therapy. So the government announces that we got what you call talk shows that can somehow be the ends to the solution to your problem. So all these people sign up to go on the talk shows, actually thinking that they are actually doing something to help situation. Because every time on the talk show, somebody stands up and goes, well, hell, why did you come and announce it out in the public to millions of people? They say, because I wanted to bring it out, because I wanted to get out, because it can help. You see what I'm saying? Knowing damn well these talk shows can't help you do shit. Well, they get, and obviously they can't treat your question. They got a panel of damn 10 people on there. Well, let's go to the next person. Let's go to the next person. Okay, we're out of time. You see, so now these talk shows, the government now, to let you know it's the end days, they are now making money off of the pathology and the sickness of America in which the government created itself. And so now they're exploiting people's psychosis, you see what I'm saying, and their pathologies for money. They're making money, so how crazy you are is the money for the damn white man. And that's why all of a sudden you see these talk shows, you see, spring up. And it's futile for, I just watch them just to trip. Because you really see a monitor on how crazy people are in America based on these talk shows. And then it never proves anything, because if you notice, it's the same question. Sooner or later, if this person's a prostitute or this person's a pimp, somebody's going to stand up and the question's going to come out to get the get the actual crowd going. The first thing they're going to say is, hey, you're doing that, but what about your children? How are they going to grow up around this? And everybody start clapping. Then somebody else will come up with some damn cliche out of the audience. And the audience literally beats up on people, but it's certain things that they do and the people just start going crazy. So these talk shows are actually a reminder of how sick it is, you see, in America. As a matter of fact, one of the guys that is the producer of the Nightline, came on one of the late night talk shows, one of the ones that's so supposedly supposed to be better. Yeah, and he said, well, the talk shows are used, it says they use grief and pain of the people who do not know any better and think that they're going on TV will help them and help the solution. And they exploit these people for capitalism, meanwhile giving the impression that they are helping therapeutically, you see. So they'll do all this stuff, and we know, obviously they can't help therapeutically because they have the same damn shows over and over again every 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? How many shows can you have on cheating? And then you have some people like Ricky Lake and all, they have 5 formats that they do for everybody. And they don't go outside of those 5 formats. So all of this stuff is going crazy. Whereas even though Donahue is not what you would call in line for black people, his show was a little bit better, so therefore he's not popular anymore. And what happened? They have to take him and put him late night. He comes on like 4 in the morning now, you see. So these are some things that's also going on. Now, we're just going to go through a hard copy and deal with some things to let you know that the world is going crazy. These blonde wigs and the blonde hair and all the stuff, you see that people have died now and dyeing their hair. People don't know that what happened is that particular thing was started by the white boys in the early 90s and the late 80s. What happened is they got these brand new models, most of these models, and you know the models, you know how it is. They got these black models, and they told them, well, in order for you to model and keep in the modeling business, we want to see you with a certain amount of blonde wigs. So, you know, Naomi Campbell and all those started wearing a lot of the blonde wigs to start taking these pictures. So when the black woman started reading these fashion magazines, she was registered in her mind that this is the end thing, and then all of a sudden they started out with the wigs, and then they started dyeing the hair. And so the whole blonde hair thing, that now all of a sudden the sisters like Mary J. Blige and all of them that think that they really actually think that they look good when they got blonde hair. Oh, this is the shit. They don't understand that the cracker is the one that started it from the get-go, you see. And now also it got so bad with Jada Pinkett and the rest of the crew until now you ain't in not unless you got the blonde hair. Not unless you are conscious. You understand what I'm saying? But what happened is the doggone white boys is the one that started this whole thing with the blonde hair, you see. And this is another part of the doggone the demise of the planet. Also, you have this new crack cocaine that lasts for like 24 hours. Now, hell, this ain't even ice. This some new stuff. Because, you know, ice been out. No, they got some new thing out. It's like, the crack is like, what's the lowest? $5 crack? No, they got one $3. Huh? Yeah, well, they got this stuff is like $3, $12, 24-hour high, because crack is what, a few minutes or whatever? This is like a 24-hour high. Now hell, if they had a crack, and see, people didn't notice, a lot of people got hooked on crack based on the first or the second time they took it, you see. And you know it had to have a one-time or a two-time effect to see how many people was hooked on it. You see what I'm saying? Based on the knowledge that crack is messed up, somebody would have got the picture, but you know, we got to try things, and that's when it was hooking things. So and if they got hooked on it one or two times off of a few minutes, what you think it's going to do for 24 hours? That means as soon as you take it, you hook. You see. So now they got this stuff hitting the street. 24 hours high. You know what I'm saying? Now most people going to die from that also too, 24-hour high. So now this is the new thing, because they understand even with the crack, and the crack did mess us up. But still yet, it's not enough to the standards of the government. This Unabomber that they're talking about, you heard about the Unabomber. Now all of a sudden, now they come up with things that's been going on. They say the Unabomber been doing this since 1978, but all of a sudden, nobody knew about it up until now. The Unabomber is a government invention. That's the key to it. It's a government invention for the whole terrorist act. You see. That's why they even printed his manifesto of the Unabomber in the New York Times and the Washington Post. It's a government invention. It doesn't exist. All it is the same thing with the terrorist thing that they're adding in with the terrorist bombing. You see, they couldn't create this terrorist as far as the Arabs, the people, so the American public are saying, hell, just don't let no new Arabs come in the country. You see what I'm saying? So what it is they got to create a own show of terrorists, and so they give you this Unabomber. You see, this doggone Unabomber. All that is the government's type act that's going down, you see. And that's what the key is. So all of this is also to, as you know, to somehow declare this martial law soon. Also, you know, you have your welfare reform bill that is in now. This has got to go before the House, but we know this welfare reform bill is going to really, you know, do some things as far as let you know that, hey, they come in and they come in close anytime they pass a damn bill. Check. Also, they had a AIDS quarantine in South Carolina where they quarantined a whole town outside of Greenville, South Carolina. You see. Whole town they quarantined. So that lets you know that they're still moving on the level of this whole martial law. One particular sister was some black activist, and I didn't remember the sister name, but the brother Rashad called me from Texas and told me some black activist from Atlanta, some sister that, you know, was really boisterous, got locked up for something, and they ended up putting her in a South, I think it was North Georgia concentration camp. No, South Georgia concentration camp. And the only reason why she came out of there is because she was a sister that a lot of people knew, and they couldn't risk this particular concentration mystery being blown open. So they had to let her out because there was going to be too many questions on what the hell happened to her. She was too popular. It's the only reason why she came out. But that still means that they are abducting hundreds of black people, you see, daily. And they say they have millions of black people in these concentration camps. Millions. So now we got the revolutionaries. Okay, we got 1,000 of them walking around the college campuses. Revolutionaries trying to attack me, saying, brother, it's about revolution. And I said, now how in the hell can you be a revolutionary when a nigga like me got to come and tell you about the concentration camp? Seems to me, you supposed to be a revolutionary. You supposed to made your move 5 years ago. Because damn sure you ain't waiting to make the move based on the big showdown. You see what I'm saying? Because the government is much more clever than doing something on the big showdown. So the brothers is talking about we revolutionaries, and ain't nobody fighting. But steady, the white boy is already putting people in concentration camps, but the revolutionaries is waiting on the concentration camps to open up, and they don't understand. They snatching crowds of them as we go, and the shit is already going down. You see? Like I said, I told you on July 3rd, we saw the FEMA automobiles by the hundreds. You see? Excuse me, I don't know, I'm thinking of something else. But we know that it was at least 13 FEMA trucks with packed with people, with black people on them. We know that the black people was on it. How many, we don't know, you see. And we don't know. So we know that they've had this particular things that's going on, and now all of a sudden, the revolutionaries are still waiting for the doggone revolution. So you have like your man Dale Jones, he come in, he's attacking all the spiritualists, but he don't even know the shit has started right up under his nose, you see. And so now, he's going to get out there and do the revolutionary thing, and like the white boy got there bowling and give you 24 hours to move and 24 hours to live. So that means you got 24 hours to try to kill the cracker and your ass is dead. You see. You better do your revolutionary bit in 24 hours. Well, we know this thing is bigger than that. And actually the cracker don't have no juice, but you can't tell that to these Negroes because they are running right in his hand and getting knocked over the head. So this stuff is already started getting on. Now, you had this guy from the Expos. Now, which one won the championship the last 2 times before they had the thing? Wasn't it the Connect? Was it the Expos? The Blue Jays. Now, this Expo thing is they got this black guy because the Expos is a contender. Because we know it's getting laid on up into the whole thing. So this whole thing that went down with this picture from the Expos that the white girl last week tried to say that he was, oh man, she tried to say that he raped her, is that was put on by the Atlanta Braves, because the Atlanta Braves know that they're jinxed and they will never win a championship because the Indians put the mojo on their ass in '91, you see. And so, you know, and told them to stop doing the tomahawk chop. So therefore, they are now, to guarantee them a win, they are doing things like, when these black players came, remember they said that this person was introduced to this white girl by some Atlanta Braves player's girlfriend. You see, so all this is showing you and it was Atlanta Braves that put this whole thing on. You see, it didn't go about because the lawyer really kind of peeped it. The woman was kind of weak, saying, when you say this man took you and abducted you and from a club and all of this, and you didn't holler rape, huh?
Forced her into the cab from the club. Then forced her into the hotel, and she didn't holler rape no time and know she was going to be raped, you see. So know she was going to be raped, you see. So this is some things that's also going down. It's very key. Now, some things going down in Super October. Let me get my notes and stuff because we're going to deal with a few things. Super October. First of all, the movie Strange Days is coming out. The movie Strange Days is coming out. You'll see this particular movie, what's the sister name that's going to be in the movie? Angela Bassett. This particular movie, very key. Did you go see this movie? I think it's going to be a real good one because I think a lot of it now, they're caught on. And a lot of the good movies and stuff that we thought was going to be good, like Prophecy, it was all right, but it was kind of weak, you see. It was kind of weak. But The Strange Days, I still say that the movie, Mortal Kombat was a much better movie if you go see it and see what's actually going on. But the movie Strange Days is also coming out. In October, sometime around the 13th, they're supposed to have 2 eclipses, I believe. You heard anything about that? They're supposed to have 2 eclipses. I think they're supposed to in October. Also, Mars and Pluto is going to be in conjunction. Also, Pluto is in the 29th degree of Scorpio. Now, this brother that called me and told me this particular stuff, by him being an astrological type of scholar, he said that's some real serious stuff. Also, know you have the Pope coming on there. You know you have the Million Man March. And also, you know that you have, they might deliberate up until October and might into the middle week of October. You see what I'm saying? If they don't come out and say next week that he's guilty. We'll go into that in a few and let you know what's going on. Also, you need to start checking out the movie, the cartoon X-Men. Wait, come on, 3:30? Yeah. Talking about the mutants. Real key, you see. You know, a lot of people that have been dealing with the comic books know about this type of stuff long before. But now, some of the people, you can start dealing with this whole X-Men thing that comes on at a certain time. I got some notes on this X-Men. 3:30 on what channel is that?
Channel 36.
36. How many people have been watching it? The X-Men. The X-Men, they call themselves mutants. You see, the so-called extraordinary powers that fight against the original Homo sapiens. You see, they're fighting against the original Homo sapiens, which is black people. Even though they say they have the mutants, now the powers they have really belong to the original Homo sapiens. But what's happening is, based on the actual New Wave movement,
What happened was is the white boys told them back in the early 1900s, early 20th century, that because you are a mutant, you have the next possibility of being the next Superman in an evolutionary phase of this particular society. So the white people believe, some of the white people in the occult believe because they are mutants, which is a lesser person, gives them more experimentation for the gods to come in and hook them up, you see. And this is what, so if you see the movie, they are saying that the mutants are the greatest and there's nothing wrong with the mutants. We're just as good as the original Homo sapiens, you see. That is because most of the occult groups in England believe that based on it, that the mutants, even though they are less than what the original Homo sapiens are, they are saying that we have the, what you would call, because we are not yet developed, our development is going to be greater when it does come. And so they're thinking this whole new age is based on the development of mutants. You see. What's that?
And actually, Magneto refers to his people as Homo superiors.
Say what?
Homo superiors.
The mutants?
Yeah, mutants as opposed to Homo sapiens.
Real key. You see. So now, they're doing this whole bit. And because of the occult, so watch the movie. Movies you're dropping a whole lot in the cartoons. Real key that you do that. Now, to let you know, let's say, well, I don't know, let's say, I go to these lectures and I hear this shit and it sound good, but I just don't see it happening in the physical, everyday life. This is why you really have to look out for this which is going on, and that's this. When I go into the cloning, I'm going to explain this a little more. But be sure to note that when we went to the garden, what's the name of this this health food store? Return to Eden on Cassia Bridge. They had a particular shelf about this big and about, coming from the floor. Now this is not in the aisle where you have your vitamins, but right up in the front of the store, they got this shelf, and on this shelf, they had about 500 bottles of melatonin. An emergency. Also, not only did they have 500 bottles of melatonin, In My Nature, the sister Shakira ordered a few bottles, and the white people found out she had them, and she said that, after they found out she had them, she ordered some more. She said, and they came and bought her out like 4 cases, I think she said, of this melatonin. And so now, if you know, they're coming on the news and they're telling people about the melatonin. Now, when I go into the cloning, it's very key because they're telling people that this melatonin is negative. And what it's doing is almost like damn if you do, damn if you don't. If they don't take it, they will die within a year. If they do take it, they got the side effects. So it's like the AZT thing. So they come on and tell the people about the melatonin for the warning purposes. But it's almost like damn if you do, damn if you don't. What's that? Sure did. And the guy was saying that in actuality the melatonin was good for black people, but we got to understand that melatonin is coming from animal hormones. Right. We already have it. And that's coming from animal hormones. But if the white people don't take it, they'll be dead within a year, you see. So, but it's got side effects. What's that, brother?
They had a whole article in the paper saying melatonin.
Today's paper? Atlanta Journal-Constitution? Okay, good. We need to get that.
After white people start taking it, they start going crazy after a certain point. They're already crazy. Richard King told me last year that based on his studies and based on the studies that the Europeans have, that a white person can go crazy within 48 hours of taking melatonin. But they have to have the melatonin, and we go deeper into the mysteries, you'll understand why they have to have the melatonin. So even though we might not think, we think this thing is at a doggone standstill, it's not at a standstill. Now, when I go into the clones, we'll deal with some of that particular thing. There is some science, there is some stuff called the rites of Eleusis. Eleusis is something that comes out of Egypt, or Hemmitt, when Isis was hiding from Set Typhon, or even when she retired after her husband died and ascended into the underworld, she went into what is called the Eleusinian fields. Now, the Eleusinian fields is something like altered states of consciousness. It's like another dimension. So now the Greeks had a play based on coming out of Egypt. They had a play called The Rights of Eleusis. Aleister Crowley, the early 20th century, late 19th century occultist, acquired some of this particular science of the rights of Eleusis, and it was a play. It's a book with a play, an actual play, and you go to places and you put on this play. But when you put on this play, you go into altered states of consciousness, the people that's in the audience. And he put on the play and started going around to Oxford and Cambridge in the earlier 20th century, and the white people started going into altered states of consciousness. And they banned the play. You see, you come on and sit on down. And they banned the play. So what happened is this. If you can get something, now there's a book called The Rights of Eleusis by Aleister Crowley, a $90 book. And it's got this play in it. Even though the white people were going to altered states of consciousness based on this play, black people, it would hook them up. You see, when white people go into altered states of consciousness like the LSD trip, they can get all fucked up by doing it. Well, black people, it's a different thing. When you go into that, you can go to your higher levels of spirituality. So now they got this whole $90 play out. Cost about $90 to get the book from England, The Rights of Eleusis, and it's this play. And black people literally need to start putting on that play. So I'm going to try to correspond with Sister Apakita so we can get the book, The Rights of, for someone who is interested in putting on this play. So we can start working. Now, to learn more about the rights of Eleusis, you need to get the book Egyptian Magic by E. Wallace Budge. $5 book, $5.95. And there's going to be something in here on the Eleusinian fields of Isis or something. But you will find it in here, and you can learn more about this altered states of consciousness based on other dimensions. Now, this is the key. In the 1960s, the great person known as Jimi Hendrix was tailoring his particular rock and roll, and he was not successful in America. You know, he had backed up for a lot of bands, soul bands here, because, you know, I think he was the first cousin or something to the Isley Brothers. So when he went over to England, he started playing the rock and roll, and if you notice, they were really, that's why it's interesting to look at the new BBC broadcast. It's on PBS. That's PBS, isn't it? It's been going on about the history of rock and roll, and they're showing you, the British one is showing you it all came from black people. And that rap is the last one that the black people put forth. But it shows how all of it came from black people. The one that was done in 1981 showed you, but they didn't go into the roots of it. They just showed you the groups. This is the Doors. This is the Rolling Stones. This is the Beatles. But this one showed you how the Beatles and everybody was influenced by the blues, the jazz, and the funk. You see, all of it coming from black people, mainly the blues. Now, this is the key. So that's the one that you need to do if you need to record something. I think that series is going to be coming on again because it's a popular series. Especially the funk one was awesome with Bootsy and the boys. Yeah, real awesome. Yeah. Now, the key is Jimi Hendrix, he taught these crackers how to play this guitar. All the stuff that these white boys, Jimmy Page, they didn't know how to play that guitar until Jimi Hendrix taught them how to play it. But the key is that Jimi Hendrix, he was real popular in England. He was becoming to be real popular, and he didn't become popular in the United States until he went to the Monterey Jazz Festival and burnt the guitar, set the guitar on fire. You remember he set it on fire and started beating it and stuff, and all of a sudden he started emerging in the United States. But he was still an unknown phenomenon and a new phenomenon in the doggone United States. Now, over in England, he was a great successful person. Now, they had studied that his music, because he was such a master, and he was God, started putting crackers into doggone altered states of consciousness. But by them having the history of Aleister Crowley's play, The Rights of Eleusis, and what it did, based on and it was a band play, and they banned it from Cambridge and Oxford, they took doggone Jimi Hendrix out. The Illuminati did, you see, because they knew, okay, cool, well, we got this brother over here doing this to Europe, cool, this this can be an experimentation, and hey, we can get hooked up. But they knew that he had gone across the Atlantic again and started getting popular in the United States. You see, and so therefore, even though the masses of black people wasn't into the rock and roll or his new invention of this type of rock and roll, we knew that you had enough brothers over here that was listening to it because he was becoming popular. So therefore, you might not need but 3 or 4 brothers to be sitting down listening to this stuff, and all of a sudden start going into some altered states of consciousness, and boom, you got a hell of a thing on your hand as you the cracker, and if they're looking for the Messiah in the 60s. So therefore, with the music that he was doing, they know that the Messiah can come in many forms, and they say, well, hey, Malcolm might have not been the one, maybe he's the one.
The 6 was 9. The 60 was 90.
That's right. And also he did the movie, what was the song, Voodoo Child? And we was looking at that where he said, if I don't see you in this world, what it say? I'll see you in the next, and don't be late.
And another thing, he was towards the end of the thing, he was getting with black musicians because he was tired of telling his white boys.
That's right.
Hey, we got to get him. Send black girl in with the dog.
Right, and all they got to do is lace it with something or whatever. Or even they say that didn't kill him. They say he choked on his own vomit for the simple fact that hell.
He was turned over the bed.
Yeah, so the crack, right, the crackers killed him. You see, based on the key that they knew that in actuality that he might be the one. And so we just got this information that the government took him out, or the Illuminati took him out, because he was becoming to be more and more bringing the roots back home, you see. And he was the master. Very key that you deal with this particular stuff. But you can find out more about this Eleusinian Fields in Egyptian the Egyptian Magic by E. Wallace Budge. Also, you know the little Necronomicon book. It's interesting that to discredit the book, the white boys came on TV on CNN last week and tried to tie the book into the group of people that is in Japan. Remember the ones that was the cult that's in Japan that bombed the subways? And they say, well, one of their chief things is this Necronomicon book. You see, the whole thing is that they're trying to make this thing, try to outlaw this particular thing, so that book might become kind of banned or something like that. You see, now, but I'm going to turn you on to another one in a few minutes that's better than that one. But anyway, they are already trying to tailor that one. Now, when the guy put that book together, for some reason, the style of the writing of the book, it scared a lot of people. You know, kind of eerie. The one to get is this one. This one from England, coming from Scoob. The Necronomicon and the Book of the Dead Names. Edited by George Hay. It's got bats on the cover. So now the other book kind of scared people. People said, oh, you know, when I introduced the Necronomicon, people was like, oh, that nigga there done gone fool now. That nigga Bobby done gone fool. I went to New York City, and the nigga was like, you know, we're in New York City, so anytime you come up here, you got to give us the real deal knowledge because we're so advanced. So I said, okay, y'all motherfuckers advanced. So I bust back there with the real advanced shit, and them niggas got scared as hell. You see, still believing in a doggone devil. That's the key. Ain't no devil, and if you believe in the devil, you'll understand what's going on. You won't understand what's going on, excuse me. So this one is the London version, which has the sigils and which has the breakdown of the gods, and this one is more of a scholarly work explaining it. So the other one didn't give you enough information, but only on the front part of the book. So therefore, you got to you say, well, I don't know about this. And this one is a $16 book. And this book came out actually in 1978. 1978. They just released it again in 93. So this is the one you need with the bats on the cover. And this is the manuscript that's coming from in some type of old Arabic that is that they translated, as well as 2 other manuscripts that I've shown. 2 other manuscripts that I showed in here that is translated, if I can find them. There's 2 other manuscripts in here. You've probably seen it on my tape where I did my one with the visuals. Let me show you this, see if I can find these 2 manuscripts in here. They're showing you that this stuff is as real as it can get. But anyway, here it is. Here's the 2 manuscripts by the 2 manuscripts. You've probably seen these manuscripts. And with this stuff comes from Dr. John Dees that was dealing with Enochian magic. And these are 2 manuscripts that's tied in with the Necronomicon. So now this is the one that will give you a greater understanding by George Hay. The introduction by Colin Wilson. Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead Names, is the one. School Press, so as usual, she will get these particular books. And I think you will be able to get this one from New Leaf. The other one they're going to take out because it's more of an occult fiction now, and they have associated it with so much evil things on the X-Files last year. The white children, these devil worshippers, was reading the names out of Necronomicon. So I came on the radio the same night and started reading the names, and the people went crazy. So, oh shit, wait a minute, this Bobby is into some messed up stuff. Because they saw the TV show which was designed to scare people from dealing with this. So I came on the radio about an hour later, and I was reading some of the names, and niggas saying, wait a minute, that is the devil. Now it's interesting because we went up to New York, and I was looking for another particular book on the Necro that was supposed to be out from England. They've been advertising it for 3 years, and it's not out yet. So I say, well, hell, when I go to New York, maybe I can find it. And I asked the guy, he said, what is that? I said, what's the Necronomicon book? He was like, oh, no, there ain't no banishings in there. Banish is when you're supposed to banish something, supposed to get it, when you're supposed to be able to get rid of that energy after you use it for what you, he says there's no banishings in there. And the little white guy say, oh yes, we don't want to invite Godzilla to dinner and won't be able to tell him tell him to leave, you see. Won't know how to get him to leave. Now I'm looking at them and saying, well hell, I pull these shits every day and they don't do shit. But see, I understand what it is. See, the whole spooked out thing is this ain't nothing but your brothers and sisters, their ancestors that they call it Necro. You understand what I'm saying? But to them, they get up in there and they don't leave the house and they end up getting killed by it, going crazy. Burning up, cutting themselves all up and all this crazy stuff. You see. So they don't want to touch the subway up in New York. And I'm looking saying, now we don't know how much juice we got. The crackers are scared of our own ancestors. You see what I'm saying? You see, and I guess our ancestors saying, well, you crackers, I remember you slapped me in the department store, and I'm getting back at your ass. Come, you know. So we are scared of our own power because they made us think that there's some evil stuff. No such thing as evil power. Let me show you how it goes. Brother calls me up, tells me that he got these 4 demons been following him since he was a little boy. He done went to all the psychics. He done went to all the doggone he done went to all the readers. He done went to all the so-called brothers and sisters supposed to know something about high spirituality. And they still telling him how to get rid of these demons. And he called up and he said about these 4 demons were following him. And I said, wait a minute, brother. I said, maybe them ain't no demons. Maybe them some high spirits, some necronomiconic spirits, or some high spirits that's older spirits. What happens is the older the spirits are, the more powerful they are. And people mistake that for being evil. It's just that those spirits are older and they're more powerful, which is good. That's the shit I want now. So now I told him maybe they're just more powerful spirits. And I said, so brother, next time when you go to bed tonight and meditate, I said, call them on and say, hey, come on, hang out with me. So he called them on, and the brothers, they came and said, man, shit. We used to hang out when we was in Atlantis together. Me, you, and the 3 other brothers. And so now when you was born and you became more conscious in this incarnation, we was like, he's psychic now. He's opened up. Hey, we can go up in there and be with him. He's saying, you've been scared of us for 30-something damn years. You know, he late 30. So you've been scared of, and we're your hanging partners, nigga. When we used to hang out together. You see, it just depends on the way you do it. So a sister called me up this week saying that she got these demons on her and all that stuff. I said, ain't no demons. See, that's the black. See, it's a mirror. And the way you look in that mirror is like the Freddy Krueger thing. He goes on your fears. So if you look in the mirror scared, that's exactly what you're going to get out, because your mind is the projection of the energy. So your mind, if you look in there thinking it's going to be a demon, that's what's going to come. It's going to scare the hell out of you. But if you look in there saying, hey, Uncle Ben or Uncle Joe or whatever from eons ago, then that's what you're going to get. You understand it? That's the way the spirit works. Notice all this stuff, and no evil demons and all that's bullshit. Because see, the Necronomicon and all that, Solomon and doggone Moses and them work with that. Moses was a magician, and your Moses seals or your Solomon seals, that Moses and them was the master magicians, they used to work with that. You got the books, the Gwotia. She has some books on the Gwotia over there. The Keys of Solomon. And another book, McGregor Mather's Symbols of Solomon. That's the stuff, that's the magic that Moses and them was working with, and Solomon. You see? You thinking it's witchcraft. Same thing with Vodun. There's no such thing as evil stuff that's actually going on. You see? No stuff at all. So when these crackers, now it's evil to them, yeah, all right. The crackers is preaching on it's evil to them. You see what I'm saying? So he's saying, we don't want to invite Godzilla to, to lunch or to dinner and can't be able to ask him to leave. I'm like, well, hell, why the hell I want to ask him to leave? And that's another misconception. Like I say about the closing ceremonies, I don't believe in that. I believe, look, if these are my ancestors, I look now. Ain't nobody pulled more than we was up to 300 guards a day. And all the ones the messed up ones, that's the ones we pulled all the guards, and we especially included the so-called demonic forces. All the devil and the witchcraft shit, we put all that down up in there because we know that's our stuff that they're thinking is evil. And there ain't nothing happened. We pull that, we get the energy, but now since my energy is going to a certain level, I don't feel them now because my energy is going to a certain level. You see. But what I'm saying is these are the same ones. So I've been pouring these things for well over a year and a half now, straight and strong. And never had to close out the ceremony of what I invoked to this day. You see what I'm saying? So I don't believe in all that. I believe that's a lot of shit that's going on about the white boys. So when my man over at the source said that we need to close out based on some white people invoke some entities and they burn up the place or messed up the place, he's right. But those are white people. But I'm telling you what I know, because I done work with some stuff that's unbelievable. And now it's like, hey, y'all ain't delivering the funk. But then again, now they don't supposed to deliver because I have the energy in me and everybody here has the energy. And all you got to do is realize that particular energy. You see what I'm saying? That particular energy. Now, you got to go back and see the movie Judge Dredd, real key. Go back and see it again because the cloning process, they're telling you that the police, they say, well, we can clone them in a day or in 8 hours. They say so you can replace these police as fast as they die. And now that's why 85% of the police you see have already been cloned. Not because a lot of the police are dying. They don't kill that many cops, but they clone them so they can be robots with no feelings. There's no way that human beings can lock up over 75,000 black men a year in the city of Atlanta alone. There's no way that they can do this if it's not clones. But now they have black clones with surface melanin. You see, very key, we're going to get into that real deal. Batman Forever. You need to get back down with Batman Forever. Go back and see it again. I was taking notes in the movies. First of all, Nicole, she was a psychologist, Nicole Kidman in the movie. And she said, I don't know what it is about you that I like so much. Maybe it's that black suit. Talking about the black skin he had on. The next time he said, well, you were dressed all right. He said, but I want you to, what did he say?
You want to get out of those clothes and into a nice
black dress. He said, I want to get you out of those clothes and put on a nice black dress. So now, if you notice, what's your boy name? The Riddler played by Jim Curry. Jim Curry in the movie was the one that was dealing with virtual reality, remember? But although he was dealing with virtual reality is the white man's third eye. But it goes deeper than that because you're still thinking about virtual reality as this spooked out thing, and what they're telling you, he said, I'm going to put a box on it, I'm going to put a box in every home. So hell, cable alone is virtual reality. TV alone is virtual reality. They might have more advanced forms now, but virtual reality simply means the TV set. But when you remember now, listen, the bat is a Vodun symbol for melanin. It's also a symbol for the star system Sirius, the bat. Now, when they went into, when Bruce Wayne went into this box, something happened and they couldn't register and see what Bruce Wayne, what was in his mind at the time. But later on, the guy, based on the computer, he said, I found out what is in Bruce Wayne's mind. And when he went in there, it was a bat in the mind, which symbolized melanin. You see? And that's the superhero type thing that they're dealing with. And in the movie, he said what? He said, listen. He was talking to Nicole, and he said, I'm having these repressed memories coming back up. Repressed memories is nothing but your memories of when you were God's. He said, I'm having these repressed memories coming back up. And he said, and I'm seeing something about a red and gold book. which is none other than the book of law. And it goes on to say that when my father died, I couldn't understand anything on what was going on. I was all alone. He said, but my father wrote a book about me. What if my father write a book about him? See the key? It wasn't a diary. He said, but my father wrote a book about me. And when I looked in the book, which is the book of law, and he said, I opened up the book, he said, that's when I started seeing what I was all about. And he said, and then he saw the bat appeared in the cave. You see what I'm saying? Now we know it was Two-Face, which was the white man, and we know it was Riddler. So that was showing you the two natures of the white man. One of them, the white boy who got burned, which was Two-Face, played by, what's his name? What's Two-Face played by? Tommy Lee Jones. It was showing that in actuality, even though he was brilliant and all, he was psychotic. So it was showing you that the Two-Face was not him being two-faced and treacherous. One face, if you turn it this way, you just think he's a normal human being. But if you turn it this way, you'll see how psychotic he is. So it was showing something about the nature of the European. The other one was based on the Riddler, who was clever. That's like the Adolf Hitler type thing. But demonic, or what you would call evil or psychotic in the long run anyway. Real key movie you need to go see is this particular Batman movie. That is one of the most powerful metaphysical movies that came out, again, if you can understand how to... It's still playing at the Dollar Flick. At the Dollar Flick. Now look at this to show you what time is going on. Look at this on some stuff based on hurricanes. Now this is very interesting, that this year alone they've already had 36 hurricanes, despite what they tell you, small and large. You see what I'm saying? 36 hurricanes, small and large. You see, very key, because we know that stuff was lined up from those particular islands, and it was coming on in and all that. And we still don't know what the hell is going on, because each month, if it's not hurricanes, it's something else. You see, we don't know about the snowstorms that's coming on and all of that. Now, I want to get into the crux of the lecture. This is why it's key that you got to go back and you got to get this book. You have to get this book, The Astro Body by A.E. Powell. Very key that you get that book. I think they got like 2 over there. But it's interesting because in actuality, the cloning process is nothing, because in actuality, when you really look at a white boy, I mean one that is not cloned, just a regular, ordinary white person, that is an original clone. All they did was based on DNA and gene splicing, they made clones. You see what I'm saying? They made these particular clones. We just believe that that Yakub probably, we don't know if they incubated them from babies, but I don't see how they could have done that, for the simple fact that if they would have just left these babies alone or whatever type thing, and they said they incubated them in the caves, they'd have left these babies alone, they would have died. So in actuality, we know that based on this, if the white boy can do it now, we know that in actuality Yakub and them made grown people. Grown people. That's what Judge Dredd is saying. And it was showing you, they said well, in our first Genesis we had babies. They said now we can clone grown men and women. So we know that the first white people, some of them was grown people. They later on had babies. But some of the first clones were grown people. You see what I'm saying? Very key now. Let's get this. A.E. Powell's book. He's going to talk about the black magicians of Atlantis. He's going to talk about the black magicians of Atlantis. Let's see what this thing is going to be. And he's going to give you different bases on these black magicians creating the human artificials, or creating the dark magicians of Atlantis are lords of the dark faith. So you get black magic. So when you hear the word black magic, it's only that bears witness. It's just talking about the black man's magic. It's evil to the white boy. Because black magic comes from black magician, and it said the black magicians of Atlantis are lords of the dark faith. Also it bears witness that the people who peopled Atlantis was black people. Very key book. This one is a must-have. Now, seem to have specialized in some type of artificial elements, some of which is hinted and may have kept themselves in existence even to this day. You see, in this day. The terrible Indian goddess Kali may be the relic of this type. Now, what do they mean by that? Kali is also a metaphysical symbol for melanin. So when they're talking about, when they're putting Kali to this, they're also talking about gene splicing, melanin, blood, DNA. Real key, you see, real key. The black magicians and his peoples are, the class corresponds to somewhat of the adept and his pupils, except the development has been evil instead of good. So he was saying, based on this, it was a correspondence between the pupil and the teacher. And I tell you about the story that we found out about Manu that first started teaching gene splicing. You'll get the mysteries of Manu in the book Atlantis and Lemuria by Rudolf Steiner. Now, very key, because we're going to tie this shit in with Hitler and show you what's going on. Rudolf Steiner, Atlantis and Lemuria. Now, you can't get the book. You can't get the book in print, so you'd have to get it from Health Research. I'll give you the address to that in a minute. But very key, where it talks about Manu creating a new race of men. But in actuality, Manu was a teacher who was the teacher of Yakub. And now, we know now, nobody can dispute this based on scholarship, because Donald Redford's book proves that Yakub was worshipped in Egypt. There's a whole temple built to Yakub in Egypt, you see. And also my book, The Human Artificial, which has all of these documents in it, all of them, which Africans should print up some and they should get them out to the people. That book is very key. It's got all the documents on the whiteboard. The other guy that wrote Guthrie's book, that wrote the history, the making of the white man, he gives the actual theories and he gives the actual science on it, which is a great book. But my book is a smaller book that deals with just the documents. Despite the theories, it's got the evidence in it. So the Donald Redford's book that they're talking about, that Donald Redford's book, Egypt, Canaan, and Israel, it's a scholarly book in the Middle East. It's dealing with a lot of things that happened with Israel and Egypt at that time, all one race of people. But in there they talk about the temple of Yakub Ker. It was a Hyksos god. That was a Hyksos god. The temple of Yakub Ker. So and also it bears witness that Manu was the teacher of Yakub and taught him gene splicing. You see. His name was Om, his Atlantean name was Om Wale Tom. Om Wale Tom, which is an original name for Yakub. Had an assistant called Washforth, who later on, based on a comic, had to come back as Aleister Crowley. We got all this stuff. I'm telling you, we can uncover information all kinds of ways, but we also have documents on these things. So we're not just running off at the mouth and shit. Yeah, the reason why I'm successful up until this point is because I've always gave you documents. So it wasn't, so with Ivan Van Sertima and these people saying that we don't deal with that because we don't have no information. No, you ain't got no information if you're looking for the white boys to give you shit based on the university and the damn libraries. The real shit is in the occult world. Tons of it. So much until there's so much, I've had so much of this stuff until I've spent over $10,000 in the last 5 years on all this information that nobody has read. So that's why I know that we don't even have to run off at the mouth. When I go to places, Mom say, can you back that up? You goddamn right I can, because we got the shit now. So now we going to put it in your face, and you can't come up here and say that nigga there crazy because he ain't dealing with no scholarship, because that's what they want to do. Not because they don't believe you, because they don't want to believe you about this white man. Because when it comes to this white man, he's God, and nobody want to believe he's the devil. So now, dealing with this, it says about these black magicians, it's very interesting. It's very interesting that in this particular book, look up Black Magicians of Atlantis and deal with the particular things that is going on. They got this particular information. A.E. Powell's book, The Astro Body. Now, it's interesting because in this book, there's going to be a part in this book. Let me show you this. There's going to be a part in this book where he tells you on page 41 in this book he tells you that the white people, there's no chance of them getting on the higher levels. And he says, in addition to the higher chakrams or chakras have to be awakened. He said these higher chakras have to be awakened. In due course, each must be made responsive to all kind of astral influences and versions of astral subplanes. Most people cannot gain this during the present incarnation. Back that up. Most white people, he's telling you. Because when he's writing these books for white people. See what I'm saying? He's not, don't have you in mind. So when he says most people, he's saying most white people, he's telling you on page 41, most white people, let me get this right, cannot gain this during the present incarnation. It says, let's see, if it is the first in which they have begun to take most matters seriously at hand. So he's saying for the brothers and sisters, you have done this kind of work before in previous lives. He's saying if you're a new race that's trying to get into the spiritual thing, which is the white man, you can't do it if you are just now getting to that particular stage of your development. Some Indians, when he say Indians, that's talking about black people, because you know they're black India. But you know, this is coming from the Theosophical Society, and most of that stuff comes from India. So he says most Indians might succeed in doing so. So their bodies are heredity more adaptable than most others. So let's change that, because the Indians are not, but some black people, or all black people, might succeed in doing so. Their bodies are most heredity more adaptable than most others. But it is for the majority of men, the majority of white people, because you got 20% that's got the melanin, that the works will be a later round altogether, which is late and never, you see. So this book is dealing with this particular part, and this is one of the best books that is your deal on the Yaku theory, as well as that book that you have to get on Rudolf Steiner's Atlantis and Lemuria. Very key that I deal with that at this particular time that's going on. Now let's go into this history. Like I said, if you get the book Pyramids of Montauk, very key book that you need to be getting at this particular time. It's one of the best books in the occult that's out now. She got one left over there. It's a $20 book. Pyramids of Montauk. It's the third book of the Montauk series by Preston Nichols and Peter Moon. Preston Nichols and Peter Moon. Pyramids of the Montauk. Now that particular book, Pyramids of the Montauk and all, they're dealing with is going to talk about the history of Hitler and the occult. There's another book called the Spear of Destiny. But the Spear of Destiny is put out by Samuel Wise. It'll give you all the stuff about Hitler and the occult. Now Hitler was studying the Holy Grail, and his particular order was called the Order of the Black Sun, which is talking about melanin. But in that book, it shows you that he was also linked up with Rudolf Steiner, was one of his earlier teachers. And Rudolf Steiner knew the mysteries of the white man being created. And that's where all that master race stuff comes through. It's key. Now, he later on comes to power and runs Rudolf Steiner out of Europe, out of Germany. This is the German thing that's going on. Now, what happened was, based on this, the Germans for somehow had gotten some advanced information. Some people say from aliens. I say it was from some advanced people that were still on the planet. Some of your people in India, some of your people in black Russia, and some of your people, they might have had a group of people right there in Germany that was black people. Because wherever you go, they got black people. And they got some advanced secrets. And the Germans had hooked up with Rome. And they say, we getting on top of the magic on the damn planet. And the Illuminati in England, which is that magic system, say, no, we want to still be on top of the magic. And they went to war based on the magic, as well as the money. You see what I'm saying? But he's saying, I'm building a master race, and he was interested in cloning. And he was the master cloner. You see. And that's why when he died, they gave up. That's why when he died, they gave up one of the clones of him, and he went on into, the Montauk Project says he went on into 83 based on the Philadelphia experiment and time travel, and died in 83. You see. But they gave up one of the clones. Say he had about 5 or 6 clones. That's why his death is a mystery to this day. You see what I'm saying? But they gave up one of the clones, which leads us to what is going on now. And we're going to show you exactly what's dealing. In the 40s, right after they had that nuclear blast, in the 40s, most of white people on the earth started mutating. It's hard to believe, but they had already had the mystery of cloning, and they had already had the clone thing down that they can clone people in 3 days. You see. So those first group of people that mutated went underground. The alien thing that they got that's going on with the alien autopsies, and they telling you was the graves was nothing but the Germans had got on top of the UFO seekers and started building some doggone UFOs that couldn't, there was physical UFOs that can't do anything that's going outside of the universe, but it was flying from here, whatever, and the damn things wrecked at Roswell, and those are things that crashed, because real UFOs cannot crash. The book, Thompson's book, Angels and Aliens, tell you that. We're talking about light beings, and we're talking about light on high vibratory rates, and those UFOs cannot crash. What's that, brother?
Did you see the X-Files yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. They said exactly the same thing about Hitler.
Right, the master race. This is the key. The ones that they got was nothing but one of the mutated white boys that they showed on the damn table, which is the gray that they're talking about. They named it the Orions, but the Orions, that shit is... First of all, the war with Orion happened millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago, even before this particular solar system was even formed. They wouldn't be interested in no Earth. That's already taken care of because the Orions are black people. So, they started mutating and they crashed because that was a man-made UFO. Man-made UFO. That man-made UFO, and they got a book out now called Man-Made UFOs from 1947 to 1994. They have been in this stuff based on Germany. They got a book out now with all these man-made UFOs. So now the UFO thing that crashed, was nothing but the man-made UFOs, and that person was on that table that they're showing now was the fucking white boy that had mutated. That's why you got to go rent the movie Official Denial. Official Denial. Because on that movie, what do? On the movie they try to find out, they say all this stuff about these UFOs, right? All this stuff about the UFOs. And they're trying to find out through the whole movie, where are these aliens from? And at the end of the movie, the aliens say they're from Earth. They are us. If we don't do the right thing. They're talking about they are us based on the rest of the clones that's left. Now, it's interesting because I told them that the Greys was mutated white people. That's why the book, William Bramley's book, Gods of Eden, tell you that they say that these aliens are running the country. And they say these Greys are actually running the country and telling the government what to do. That's because they got underground caverns all up under the ground. Is where these particular Greys live because they cannot live on top of the ground based on sunlight. You see what I'm saying? Based on sunlight. So by them not living on top of the ground, they run the country and they've cloned their selves to be on top of the ground. So it goes like this. Let's say you're coming down with skin cancer. You go into the hospital, they say, well, you got such and such time before you mutate. And it's a rapid mutation, even more now. And they say, so what we're going to do is once you get too bad and you can't live on top, we would already had your clone and we just switch up the clone and nobody will never know you're gone. So it's as easy as that. You see. That's why the movie Judge Dredd is very important, because nobody knew that Sylvester Stallone and his brother was clones. You see what I'm saying? Very key. You go see the movie Judge Dredd. Now, they go up under the ground and the clones live on top of the ground. Why not? Since the original white people was clones in the first place. You see what I'm saying? The key to the clones is the clones have complete memory of the other person. So therefore it's not like the other person is ever gone. It just resumes the same life form lifestyle because it has a complete memory. You see what I'm saying? That's what the movie Blade Runner told you. It was the Yaku story being played out again. Blade Runner. Philip K. Dick, which is a real esoteric person, wrote Blade Runner, and they made the movie with Harrison Ford in 1982, told you that the last movie, the last girl, Sean Young, was a part of the new clones, and what the androids, they call them, and what? She had complete memory and started crying because she didn't know that she was a clone. Right. Also, they say this thing, Boys of Brazil. Anybody saw this movie, Boys of Brazil? That's talking about clones. That's why it's key to come back to A.E. Powell's book. A.E. Powell's book. What's that? I think the famous page is 169. An astrocarp is a shade, which is an entity which is not in a sense a real individual at all. Nevertheless, it bears its same personal appearances and possesses his memory. So also, and his little idiosyncrasies. So also that's talking about the original white boy that possessed the black man's thing, memory. But it's also talking about this can be duplicated in clones too. You see, and say maybe therefore readily may be mistaken for him. Indeed, it's frequently in seance, they say they have to go into seance and understand it. It is not conscious of any act of interpretation. So even this is the stuff on the white boy, on the creation of the white man, is after all of the black magicians on page 169 of A.E. Powell, they say what they came up with. But they're saying that the clones that they're talking about are not conscious of its act. It supposes itself as being that individual. So it's like it's never breaking a break, and it's not like it's a disaster that's going on. So they can clone millions of these people, and because they have memory, you see what I'm saying? They can assume the same life, and it's like back into the system. Real key. So we know that the Greys is the one that's running because the ones that was up under there are the real deal clones. And so Hitler was talking about a damn master race, because they had already started mutating even with him in that time. Now this is the key. We went to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. I was speaking in Philly, spoke in New York one night, spoke in Philly next couple of days later. And the sisters there, it was a group of sisters, they got together and formed them a little group, and they just bring up speakers. They bring them up in the crib with food and all that shit. And it'd be like 20, 30 strong up in the house, right? They bring them in the damn crib, and they just be chilling with the food and stuff. You just sit up there at the table and rap. Real nice. So the sisters all bad witness what I was saying, because they said it was a white boy downtown Philadelphia that's a dark gray man. He was one of them crackers that refused to go up under the ground. So they was bearing witness that this thing went on. They said, they got this white boy that hangs downtown and he's dark gray. Then I told you that this is why when we came back to Atlanta, 2 days later we ran into this whole epidemic of proportions of stock of melatonin in Return to Eden, like an emergency stock. Because these crackers are mutating. Now the key to that is this. We finally got the time limit. If they don't take melatonin, they have about a year to live. Because see, now what's happening is the clones now have started mutating. That's why when the clone mutate, it's different than when the white people was mutating, because it mutates even rapidly, because it's cloned even more. And that's when you get the damn disease, the skin-eating disease that they had out last summer, the flesh-eating disease. That's because that clone, when it started mutating based on the ray that even Devil Bless said they was going to send down here, that thing, when it started mutating rapidly. So the white boy knows, the ones who know what time it is, and they say there's 20 million white people on melatonin. You see what I'm saying? 20 million. They say, and those ones, they can stay alive about a year. But they say it's damn if I do, damn if I don't. It's got side effects, and I might be crazy, but then again, on the other hand, this is the last stand on these clones, and so therefore, we got to take it anyway. And that's why this melatonin they're showing is real big. They've been, the last 3 months, they've been, especially after this summer, that's all they've been talking about is melatonin. You see what I'm saying? It's animal hormones. Ain't that something? The animals got melanin and even the cracker don't. But still, yeah, it's animal hormones, but on the other hand, we do know that in actuality, it's, they have to have it. But even that, by it not being produced by the body, they live about a year. Now, look at this. Because what it is I went up to Indiana, and his brother, his whole family is psychic, excuse me. And I told him, I said, brother, you you have the ability too. So he went and got him a pendulum, and the pendulum, because he's psychic already, the pendulum works even great. It works even, he can phrase those questions. He can get anything he wants right off the pendulum. So now, although I was getting channels with the missus also, who was hooked up to a certain degree, when we went on the mounds, I went there and all, and we found out a clone list. And this clone list, I want to show you this clone list and show you some people that's on this clone list. First of all, we know that the white boys were starting wars based on clones. So we know that even though you got Manuel Noriega, the real one, they would go into a place, tell him, look, okay, we can put you in the hiding, or we can put you underground, and we'll just clone the actual clone, and we can program the clone to do anything we want it to do, and so the clone will start the wars because they can be economically feasible. You see what I'm saying? Also for population control. So Manuel Noriega, he's a clone. Gaddafi is a clone. Saddam Hussein is a clone. Now, not saying that these people are not still living. Some of them are still living. But on the other hand, the ones that's doing all the stuff that you keep seeing, that every time they want to start a war, they tell them, you know, go on and do this. They can operate a war based on the clones. And so Saddam Hussein is a clone, you see. So now, they got this ultimate clone, and they went ahead and killed him. But they got this ultimate clone, who is Colin Powell. So now they're taking Colin Powell and they're going to run him as the new Messiah. Because certainly they're not talking about presidency. Because first of all, there ain't going to be no new president. But they are talking about a new Messiah. Because more people are going crazy over Colin Powell. It's mostly white people. Why all of a sudden? Black people don't give a fuck about no Colin Powell. A goddamn nigga in the army. It's a big deal. But it's him. That's because he's a straight up clone. You see.
Colin Powell stopped cloning his name. If you look at his name, you can spell clown.
Oh, you see? I look, and in this day and age, I don't take anything as foolishness. Everything is everything, and that's how you get to the other levels. Everything is everything. When you rule out something, you just limit yourself, because this cracker is more advanced than what you think it is. You see? So now he's the clone. He's the doggone clone at this particular time. So, Bill Clinton and the whole government, most of those are clones. Now, I'm gonna move from. We're gonna get into that in a few minutes. I'm gonna move through some other things before we get into the crux of some things. Now, also, I wanted to say this. This is some information that you need to know based on your knowledge bank. If anybody is familiar with what's the first letter of the Hebrew letter alphabet? Right. That is, if you notice the Hebrews, that's why you know the fake Jews is kind of messed up, because they don't understand that the swastika is a Jewish symbol as well as an ancient Egyptian symbol, and it is a rendition of the same first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Let's see if I can get a picture of this Hebrew alphabet. We can put it in the see if I can find a good picture of it, of the Hebrew alphabet. I got a page that had all of them on there. This is a good book called The Experience of the Inner Worlds by Gareth Knight. Real good book. But I'll try to show it in a few minutes. I got one here drawn. I'll just show it to the camera. That's one of the Hebrew alphabets. And it's the same as the swastika. The swastika is called the whirling cross. It's also a symbol for melanin, the black dot. And that's one of the actual Hebrew, the actual Hebrew alphabets. Now, in this particular book, on page 152, I want to show you something. On page 152, it says this: in the East, traditionally, this is a very good book. Traditionally, the most holy place of drowning light we have is the letter Doth, a door. It says, by way we can go forth into the inner worlds. So, in this particular book, Doth, that is a door that we can go into the inner worlds. They're also talking about that particular, black dot, also Doth. So the swastika is a symbol for that particular part called Doth. Also, in this particular book, they're going to give you a picture, and I'll show it to you. It's going to give you a picture of something called a cube of space. I want to show you how this particular picture looks. Because the white boys, the cube of space, and this is it's done in Hebrew letters. So the fake Hebrews, they don't deal with this cube of space, which is also dark. They don't deal with this because this is dealing with melanin. And it's one of the most important parts of the Kabbalah. So you can learn about this cube, which is just another level of the Kabbalah, of the cube of space, you see, of the cube of space. And they don't give that particular information on that particular level of the Kabbalah. Now look at this. You have also some other metaphysical stuff when you're dealing with the Red Sea opening. In metaphysical science, there's something called the Black Temple of Atlantis and the Red Temple of Atlantis. The Black Temple of Atlantis, remember, how you learn the metaphysics is everything that you see on the outside applied to it on the inside. So we know the Black Temple of Atlantis is the head part that's talking about the black dot and the gateway. The Red Temple is the Kundalini. So now in the rendition of the Red Sea in the Exodus, which the Exodus is one of the books that's supposed to be read now. Supposed to be read now. It's an esoteric symbol that's going on, and it's an exoteric. Esoteric is the same things that go on out in the world that you see in the physical hologram also goes on in your body. So the exoteric, where you see the Red Sea opening up in the Bible and the people marching through, the Red Sea means also the Kundalini opening up your body and you going on into the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? Marching on into the kingdom, which is you go into the Black Temple. Now also, very key, because I asked him, I said, I got to find out something, because I know that everything that is going on now out here in the world is also going on the inside of us and going on based on some scriptures in some place. The Egyptian scriptures, Hebrew scriptures, any kind of scriptures, we know they're all black. You see what I'm saying? There's no scriptures on the earth and there's no religious system on the earth that is not black. None. I don't give a damn who's worshiping that shit now. It's all black. Now the key is, I knew based on the science that the Spirit said that the O.J. Simpson trial was in fact the trial that is going on in the Book of the Dead called the Contendings of Horus and Seth, which we'll go into in a few minutes. And I found a shorter version in the book, the Revelation sheet. I think you still have some of these. Beginner's Guide to Revelations by Robin Robertson. We'll go into that in a few minutes. We'll tie it to the O.J. Simpson trial. Now, y'all remind me of that. But I said, is there a scripture on the Million Man March? And so the Spirit, sometimes they won't say anything because they want me to think about it, because I say things in the damn lecture, and then I come back searching and I've already said it. And I remember saying in the lecture that in actuality we know that you're supposed to read the book of Exodus in the future. Because we know that the same book of Exodus they said, we also know that same book of Exodus that they're talking about, they had the same book of Exodus in Egypt. The Egyptians had the same book of Exodus. You see what I'm saying? In Egypt, it was Egypt. Egypt coming out of a certain Amenta, and in Hebrewism, it's Israel coming out of a certain desert or Amenta. Real key. Now, I said, okay, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I said, wait a minute. Okay, I got it. You said it was a spiritual significance, but also it's something that's going to fuck people up, excuse the expression. I said, okay, the Million Man March. All you got to go do is read Exodus, or either if you don't read, go rent the movie The Ten Commandments. Now, hold that thought right there. Let me go into the history of this. I want to get it all the way done. Hold that thought about the Million Man March and Exodus. I'm getting ready to come back to it, okay? Let's go into the history of this. We do know now that if the white boy can clone, and the white boy has cloned, he's now started cloning black people, they can clone the surface melanin from the DNA blood. We also know if they can clone the surface melanin, we also know that now they don't have to kill no damn black leaders, because they can get the black leaders to act on their side. And the one way they can do that is by cloning black leaders. You see what I'm saying? By cloning black leaders. You see, you got 15 minutes? Okay, now, this is the key. In 1991, Minister Louis Farrakhan comes down with prostate cancer. He goes to, what's his name's farm? What's the name of the guy's farm? Dr. God's farm, the so-called Get Cured. And at that particular time, the clone gets switched because the government came to him and told him, now, I know this might sound crazy, but then again, we can check the one from the 80s and we can check the one from now. The government tells him that, look, we know that you're a big bad black man and you say you will die for Allah. Okay, cool. But what about if I put the pipe to your wife's head? Oh, then that's another story. Since one thing says I'm ready to die, you can make that up in your mind one day. Hey, I'm ready to die. Because you come to that realization. But what about if they put the pipe to your mama's head or your daughter's head? Then you start singing another tune. And they give you the ultimatum. Okay, look. We're going to take you and you're going to go into hiding. And we're going to make this clone. Therefore, they don't have to kill black leaders anymore. Or, if they do kill black leaders, you'll never know about it. You see what I'm saying? You'll never know about it. Now, let's go on. So he decides to go underground. And he made the switch when they came up with the colon cancer and they say he's going to get cured. And the other one comes back and he does not have cancer. That's because that one never had cancer anyway, and they made the switch. And the one before, go check the tapes. Go check the tapes. He has wavy hair. Now I know I said, now man, I got to put this on the tape. I got to preface what I say. I said, man, this information is so miraculous. I said to a nigga, you have gone and started treading waters, even though you believe it. There might be 2 or 3 people in my group that I correspond with, I believe it. I said, but you're treading mighty big waters to think that black people are going to believe that the Minister Louis Farrakhan is a damn clone. But then again, on the other hand, you must understand how much advanced the doggone white man is. So they make the switch. He comes back out and starts fiddling and all of this kind of shit. You see. Come back out and start fiddling and doing all this crazy stuff. Now, the key is, Brother Wali Muhammad taps into something, he must find out a little bit of something that he don't suppose to know. You know, the head of the doggone, Wali Muhammad was the head of the final call. Next thing you know, this brother dead. Government takes him out. Huh? Yeah, just mysterious death, he dies. Okay, right. Mysterious death, he dies. Right? Okay, let's go on. Now, what happens is, he starts fiddling, he starts doing a certain amount of things. Okay, the next person they're going to set up, they don't fear Farrakhan no more because he's a clone. Fiddling, go on doggone Barbara Waters and say we can get along with the Jews. What kind of shit is that? We can get along with the Jews. You see what I'm saying? Go on Arsenio, we can get along with people. All of that. Okay? Now you know doggone well. Now let's just go back. We just need to think. I know it sounds crazy. Let's just think. Remember in the 80s that no black leaders would even be seen with him? Jesse and none of them? Don't you know that the same government that told them not to be seen with them now is the same government that's in operation now? Be clone or what? So that means that they are seen with him. That means that the government has allowed it. All of a sudden, he's back on the scene and on the podium. Not only with Jesse Jackson, who he stood up with in the 1980s, but he bring the rest of the civil rights all-stars. Mfume, Ben Chavis. You see what I'm saying? And all these buck-dancing niggas and senators and congressmen. This other senator woman, she goes to the Nation of Islam and standing up in the doggone front row of the doggone Mosque Miriam. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Now, it don't look. Now, come on now. Look. There's nowhere in the hell the cracker gonna tell you in the 80s don't be seen around this nigga. And in the 90s, you hold a damn forum and don't be held accountable. Still keep your fucking job. See what I'm saying? Okay, let's go on.
Elijah Muhammad never talked about it.
Never talked about that. Now, how in the devil Elijah Muhammad gonna tell you in the doggone fall of America, as well as theology time, that they was gonna set doggone what's the fool up with hope, down with dope nigga. Jesse Jackson. They gonna he loved a white man, and they gonna set him up in the future days. He gonna be the white man puppet, and you gonna end up with him in the future days, in the later days. Our people just want to see black people together so much until we don't give a damn. Okay, let's go on. So now, he ends up back with them, even go to the summit last year. Same time the thing happened with OJ. At that time, they had a summit going on. The same time OJ did the famous Bronco chase, they had, y'all stick around, because we're going to tie all this shit in. They have a summit going on. Farrakhan's invited now. I remember back in 89, in 88 and 89, they had a summit in New Orleans, and he wasn't invited. They had to bust up in the doggone room and take over the summit, the summit, and some of the people walked out. All the NAACP niggas and Uncle Tom niggas walked out. You see, because they couldn't be seen around him. Now all of a sudden he's in Emerge magazine 2 or 3 times. Did you know that Emerge magazine is put out by fucking Time Warner? He's on Beb's show. Beb's show is put out by Time Warner. Go ahead, the real revolutionaries you don't see on no TV set. And I ain't even talking about like metaphysical people. You never see Dr. Ben and them on TV set. You never see John Henry Clark and them on no TV set. You never see them on the TV set. Why you don't see them on the TV set? Because they know that those people have enough knowledge to turn the shit around and even get white people to thinking. You see? How is it that you don't never see none of these scholars on the TV set? None that know what they're talking about. You see what I'm saying? But all of a doggone sudden, he's on all the TV shows. Donahue, this and that. Now, the key is, this goes down. So they kill Wali Muhammad because he knows something. All right. Next thing you know, he goes to the summit. Next thing you know, he's speaking to the 1 million black men. Okay, you know, he spoke to the people, and he came here to Atlanta, was one of the first ones where he spoke to all these black people, and he announced the 1 Million Man March. Right? Okay. It's interesting that he's speaking, and these people have embraced him. Right after they did the whole coming together with all the Uncle Tom leaders and the Boule leaders, and Farrakhan right up in the midst. And see, they make you think that, oh, these Negroes, we in a new day, they rising up. And these doggone Negro leaders, they're rising up, and not only are they rising up, we find out that, not only are we rising up, we find out that that they are also coming together, and the white man can't do nothing about it. Make you think that. Oh, look at them, even Jesse Jackson and them. And see, they're playing on the ego of the Muslim. They're saying, oh, Farrakhan's so strong, until Jesse and them have to come to the table with him, because he's the only thing out here now. That old bullshit. So now, At that particular time, this is what happens. They come up, you have Mandela is coming to America, they're having a celebration of him or some kind of thing, and then the preachers say, hell, we want Farrakhan. You see what I'm saying? So they say, oh man, this man here is really marketable. And the whole time, they was going to set up this 1 Million Man March. Because when we got the channelings on it, the spirit world told us, hey, it's the fucking white people that one that set up the 1 Million Man March with the doggone civil rights movements. And they couldn't get another black leader, so they reconciled with Farrakhan so they can have the 1 Million Man March, because they know he was the only person who could pull it off. You see what I'm saying? Who could pull the thing off. So, they say, well, we got one more obstacle in the way. You see, we don't fear Farrakhan. I couldn't understand why. We don't fear him. But we got one other obstacle in the way. And that's that big black bald head nigga. Okay, let's go on. The truth got to come out. Somebody got to be bold enough to tell it. So let's roll with this shit. Okay. All right, so a woman called Ishaka Musa Barashanga, a psychic woman that knew him based on him going to the continent. Barashanga wrote a lot of books, you know, and a black scholar. She tell him, please get in touch with Khaled because I got something to tell him. He gets in touch with Khaled, and the woman tells him, don't go to the doggone white university because they're going to shoot you. By him believing in all this, the bold black leader shit, Farrakhan is the man in the black leader, he think he invincible. He go there and he gets his ass shot. So now, something is wrong here. We figure, well, man, wait a minute, is nobody immune to the white man? They're killing our black leaders? No. This is the deal. They told me, and I'm telling you what they told me. That's why I'm poor today. They told me straight up, don't go to no white colleges. See them little old 40-something niggas on them white studios, tell them to bring their ass to the black schools. Go to the black school near them. Now they say the black schools is bad enough because they run. They say, but since that's the masters of your people, we can protect you. And don't go on the fucking TV set. So you can go on the radio because they can hear your voice, but we got you cloaked. And they can't hear you. This is how I've been staying alive. Crackers, I'm telling you, these crackers done sent all kind of magic to try to kill me and the sister. But what it is the reason why I'm staying alive, because I don't go outside of what them motherfuckers do. Most people don't believe that there's a spiritual world. They say, oh, that's revolutionary. You talking all that old goddamn voodoo shit. So since they don't believe in the spirits, and they don't work with the spirits and shit, the spirits say, well, fuck it. You the man, hands-off policy. So the spirit tell me not to go on the TV set. You see what I'm saying? I get a call from them. I'm supposed to go to Harvard University. I'm going to get about $3,000 out the deal. I can't go. I got all these white colleges, man, and that lets you know this shit is real. In the white college with the student union, you get $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Easy. You see what I'm saying? Big time money. I can't go. I got to decline. Because they say there's realms, and they say don't go on that fucking TV set. Go back and watch the movie Malcolm X. They got that from Honorable Elijah Muhammad's doctrines. They say, them, watch out for them cameras. They're a funny thing. You see, what's that, sister?
That's one thing I was wondering. Why Honorable Elijah Muhammad said do not go on the camera for some reason.
What it is they got zones. The white boy don't fuck with nothing that's cloaked. He knows enough about their cloak. And plus also too, he can't mess with the stuff that's cloaked. But the white boy knows that when you go on the TV set, you decloak yourself. First of all, they understand one thing about the white boy as a master of the TV set. You go in there and do a 3-hour lecture and throw down. He cut it up and give you like 4 or 5 minutes of you sounding fucked up. Does it time and time at Farrakhan and them go on there and throw down. He spliced it up and they get fucked up. So they saying it's a decloak and you'll get cloaked. And when you go on, that's their realm. That's the realm that they got karma on America based on the entertainment. What's that?
I was just going to add, there's a sacredness to a person's image that they somehow must be aware of. So when they edit you, they're distorting your image. They're devaluing your image. Your image is supposed to be sacred. Like I give you examples like Jay Leno. You know,
right.
After Marcel's was supposed to, he had left a couple of months back.
Right.
You know, Jay Leno kept making a lot of spiritual jokes about race and everything. He wanted black people to be happy, even though he wasn't happy. So he said, fuck this shit. I'm trying to get his parents funky and stuff. But it was like in an article a couple days ago talking about that. But okay, the brother took over. Kevin Eubanks, man, I was looking at that crap 3 weeks ago. He had this white broad on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you know the movie The Mask with the eyes popped out?
Yeah.
He made Kevin Eubanks' image, eyes popped out, tongue kind of like, yeah, white on his eyes, you know, all that.
Right. Yeah. So now they have you cloaked. So you can't go on their zone. Plus you got to realize, America is being, what is the thing that rules America? TV. That's all it is. The white boy is an illusion. The devil is an illusion. If you go back and read your scriptures, they'll talk about the illusion. They say that they'll have half of the stars in the heavens under his influence. You can't influence a person if you're out in California. But now the TV is the eye of the world, and your mind and your concept. If you go to black people when they like this trial, they go up to black people and they quote in the TV set, oh, it shouldn't be about a race thing, it should be about 2 down people. Wait a minute, the man's... We'll get in that in a few minutes. This is real big. So the evil eye is the TV set. So when you go into the evil eye, it's about energy. First of all this down here is about energy and holographic energies. And when you go into his energy zone, he got you. Same thing, like I said, when I went to Florida. One of the brothers, they channeled, and he channels, but what happened was them witches know how to get into your channels if you ain't right. So the witches was coming into him and giving him channels, and he's thinking it was divine. He said, oh, brother, we got to go by this place. These witches want to see you. These white witches want to see you. You see, and all, because what I did, I blocked their ass. I pulled my libation. So my guards is blocking for me. But they said, well, no, okay, we can't get to them. Boom, they came by there. They couldn't get in, they couldn't penetrate. So they said, oh, we'll tell them and invite them over here. We want to talk about the black issue. We all one. See, we need to go by these witches. Hell, I know as soon as I went up in them crackers' place, my people said, well, shit, we going to stand out here. You the goddamn fool. The spirit world be like, you the fool. So I go up in there and they beat my ass down. It's a spiritual warfare. You got to get this thing. So when you go on that thing, you can be decloaked because you'll be in his zone. And that's how all of them fuck up. That's the ego. Why the hell you want to go on the TV? Oh, we need to go on the TV because most black people need to see. Don't you know the white man, when you go on his TV set, he determines on how much he lets you get out? You can drop all the hell you want. He can say, okay, edit this, edit that, edit this. They did that to the brother with the AIDS thing. How much time you got? Okay, what we're going to do is, you want to take a little break?
Yeah.
We'll take a little break.
I want to make a couple of announcements.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get back to what we was dealing with. All right. So they got him. He working for them, and all of a sudden, Farrakhan, they tell the doggone black leaders it's all right to come around him. Now, they don't fear nobody but a big black bald-headed man. He was warned by a sister from Africa that did not know him. He went anyway and got shot. So when you get shot, you go to the hospital. Remember this, the guy who shot him was what? The guy who shot him was a fucking clone. Because the same guy that they beat by the inch of his life was on TV the next day or so, or the next 2 days with a band-aid on. There ain't no way in hell you're going to get beat by the inch of your life, just got beat to a pulp, and the next day you walking around, because he was a clone. So, he was a clone. You see what I'm saying? So now, what the deal is this. He goes to the hospital, they take the blood from him. Now they know damn well there ain't gonna be no agreement about him. There ain't gonna be no agreement about him going under no cover and going to what you call it. So naturally they gotta do what they gotta do to him. They go and take him out. Now that's, you gotta deal with it. Because all of a sudden, he back there talking about a 1,000,000-man march. Now, ain't no way in hell no Khalid Muhammad going to be beat down, whipped, no civil rights march. There's no way. Let's be realistic about this thing. So he's back there now. You see what I'm saying? This is what's going down. Okay, let's go on. Take it or let it alone. That's what he was saying. Okay. This is the deal. They get the 1,000,000-man march up because the government get this thing going down. And I told you that you can look in the scriptures. What happened in Exodus when the doggone Red Sea opened up? The evil Pharaoh, which the evil Pharaoh is not of the 2,000 years or 3,000 years before, is now. The evil Pharaoh comes in to try to kill Israel. And how many people was it that supposed to have made that Exodus?
600,000 men, 3.75 million.
Right. They say they already got 4 million men signed up. Now, whether you believe it was back then or whatever, we telling you that the history is also a prophetic history. Now, to make it easy on you, it was a prophetic history. So now, this 1,000,000-man march, you can see the same 1,000,000-man march when you turn on the doggone 10 Commandments. And you see them going through that particular passage. Now, the real metaphysical thing when it opens up is when your kundalini parts the waves, which means it goes up your body, up your spine, and parts the waves of your body, and it goes into the promised land. And the promised land is the head part called the Godhead, or the head of days in the book of Enoch. You see what I'm saying? Or the Godhead, or the head of the church, which this is the church. So that's the spiritual part of the parting the waters. You see what I'm saying? And it's talking about your kundalini when you talk about the Red Sea. This is the Red Sea. going into the promised land, which is the Black Temple, which is the apex and the granite capstone of the pyramid, called the Black Stone, or it's also called the Kaaba. You see what I'm saying? That particular black stone, or what you call the head of days, or the 13th piece, the 13th man, which is the Christ energy of the 12 disciples, or the 12 DNA strands. And from the 12 DNA strands, you get the 13th man, which is Das, the black melanin, or a gateway into the other dimension. You see what I'm saying? We'll go into some esoteric things later on. So now, they get this thing, they come on TV the second week of August. What is an omen? An omen is something like a warning. So they give you a show called Omen. It comes on the second week of August on NBC, one Wednesday night, where they show these entities jumping in and out of people, and these people doing what this entity says do. That's talking about clones. They're just doing it on another form. And the entity jumps jumps into this person. This person goes into the lab and he gets the Ebola virus, and he goes out to this parade and he's getting ready to drop it in the parade. It's an Irish parade, but it's an Irish parade, ethnic parade in the United States, because the Irish is known as the black people of Europe. So therefore, it's an omen to tell you that the Million Man March is going to be dropped with a chemical. Now, we thought it was first going to be Ebola, but we found out that the white boy, he showed the Ebola on the TV to warn his people on what the fuck is going down. They put it on TV how they're going to kill black people, because they set up the march. But what happened was they found out if the Ebola goes airborne, they might run the risk of killing white people, because black people interact with white people all day. So it's going to be one of the ethnic type of diseases, like a melanin type disease. But they got 1 million people registered, so whoever goes in there, if the silent chemical is dropped, they can track you back to where you go, because Farrakhan done registered you. Because he the clone, leading people to their death. So they go to another brother, because this other brother telling people on the video that the government trying to kill him. I say, well, I got to try to go to this brother, try to get to him, to tell him he need to get down with the spiritual thing, and tell him what to do. Stay away from them cracker colleges. But they shoot up his car and take the brother out. And he comes back from his car getting from April, when he was last here, and his car gets shot up in the summer. He comes back as a clone, Morehouse Wednesday night, telling people to come to the damn march. Steve Coakley. He down with the fucking march. This shit is real. I'm telling you what's going down. Hell yeah. Let's go into this thing. He gonna try to get in the audience and bust me out in front of all the damn people by telling you got a damn list of Farrakhan being on the trilateral. You need to produce the list. We want to see that list. Now I'm looking out saying, I know this ain't the same nigga that talked to me in May telling me this. First of all, I'm beyond the thing, because I got some shit for me. So if the crackers up the East Coast, since the Illuminati and them got my tapes, they received all my tapes, and them tapes is in Washington D.C. or wherever the fuck the Illuminati is. They received my tapes last year. They got all my shit. They're watching. I'm telling you what I know. And if them crackers couldn't take the brother out, I ain't worried about no motherfucking niggas talking that yang shit, no fucking Nation of Islam. Fuck them. I'll tell them today, fuck y'all. Fuck you. You think whatever, this is what time it is. You see what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about that shit, because I done went up, so he ain't busting me out, because I done gone up the East Coast telling people about Farrakhan. I done been everywhere. Dawood called for the death of Farrakhan in 93, and I ain't did nothing to that nigga, didn't even jump. And the Muslims watch the tape every day. You see what I'm saying? So that ain't the move, but I'm saying, what about if I was a helpless nigga? That would be kind of bad for you to holler out this stuff. Now, let's go into this. One brother called me and said, well, brother, you need to find out if this certain brother is a clone. Because he heavy on this march. So I said, now that don't sound like the same Steve Coakley. It's talking about calling the people the civil rights movement, calling the civil rights all-stars, in 94, and now he gonna be down with the Civil Rights All-Stars in a damn march? That don't sound right to me. Why is everybody repeating Martin Luther King? That just don't sound right to me. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now I noticed that he gonna say this stuff to me, and I know something wrong. I said, now I know this ain't the same damn man that's telling me. I went to New York and I heard some brothers say that you said that Farrakhan was on the Trilateral Commission. You got a list. I said, uh-oh, that ain't you. I know that. I got you. You busted. I know that ain't you. I said, I got you. This ain't the same man that 3 months ago you called me up and we have a conversation for about an hour. And you the one that give me the fucking rundown on Farrakhan. I said, and then you're going to quote something wrong. I never said about the list. These are my words. I said, I got a friend that works out at Hartsfield International Airport in U.S. Customs. One of my homeboys I grew up with. He says they got a Mormon that tell him that we keep secrets in Salt Lake City, Utah on all people in the United States like the damn Jews was doing that got busted for it. You know, Renee Brill and the Anti-Defamation League, they got busted. He said, we got one more comprehensive than them because we own a whole fucking state. You see what I'm saying? Salt Lake City. But he said, and we got a list that's got Farrakhan on the Trilateral Commission's list. Now, that's what the white boy, he said, don't believe the white man. Why would he have to lie? Even though they do lie, but hell, he showed up. It made sense. But that's all I had to go on, and I did that. Who supplied the other information but Steve Copeland? Well, brother, I don't say, and this is it, I don't mention about the Minister Farrakhan because I know them niggas will start tripping. But these are his words. Because see, he knows all these people's names that run all this shit. You know, he brought some, we know all the names. Who run this and who run that? He said, so I didn't check the money, the grant money that's coming for the security agency and money that's coming to build the buildings, and the same niggas that I done said, that the same niggas, the same crackers that's in this Trilateral Commission is on them checks. And he the one that gave me the lowdown. Now this clone coming back saying, I heard in New York last week, wait a minute, last week, nigga, we had a whole fucking damn conversation for an hour in May, and you gave me the rundown. You gave me the rundown. All of a sudden, he comes and tells people, never sign your name up on no list and take no survey of nobody. Because you be putting the names of the list down for the government and taking a survey for the government. Right? For the government. All right. Then he's going to come there, and all of a doggone sudden, he's starting a new party, and he wants people to sign up for the shit. After a month coming last year telling people they don't need to sign up for nothing. Right? Okay, let's go on. Now, how in the hell you going to say you in favor of a march when you start off your lecture saying that Ben Chavis met with FEMA to discuss the damn march? FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Act that puts in the King Alfred plan. Now, wait a minute. This don't make no sense. You mean to tell me that you're going to tell me that the head coordinator of the Million Man March met with FEMA, which bears witness that the government set up the march in the first place, because the head coordinator is Ben Chavis, and you mean to tell me that you're going to be down with sending these people to the damn march? That's contradictory. You see? That's contradictory. Then tell them, y'all are going to the march. Raise your hands. How many people going to the march? Well, you know how it is. See, one thing about college era, there's a lot of egos going because they tell the students they're the future black leaders. Everybody want to be politically correct. You see what I'm saying? So, they're going to go out there. If you ever want to get somebody to protest, you go down to the college students. They'll do it because, you know, it's an ego trip. You know, they leadership skills. Just to, you know, get the head right. So all of them going to raise their hand. You see? Because they don't know no concept of real revolution. And the whole time he's talking about revolution, pumping them up. Y'all going to the march. Wait a minute, nigga, you haven't given one indication on why people should go to a march. And I'm starting this new group up, and I want you to sign up, and I want you to give me any information you can get on the future. We want to know your ideas. And I've already started a group in D.C., and we are compiling papers. What's that?
I was noticing that people were
Yeah, he was registered. He was signing people up then too. He was signing people up too. Okay, for this particular stuff. I said, no, wait a minute, this don't sound like the same one. Oh, and I'm going to be giving tours. I said, wait a minute, first of all, the Steve Coakley that I... See, first of all, look, I know Steve Coakley because it was Steve Coakley that started me out. When I came and opened up for Steve Coakley, and after that, once I opened up, everybody wanted to hear me speak. So he was one of the first. I said, wait a minute, that ain't the same one I know that's an introvert as far as he's a loner. He don't do no field trips with people. He ain't never been a part of the group. You see what I'm saying?
And he was just freely giving out his phone number.
His phone number and his address. Here's my phone number. Here's my address. I said, wait a minute, this ain't the same damn man here.
Invasion of the body snatchers.
That's right. Here's my phone. I said, wait a minute, what's going on? But see, we went there this time looking for the clone. And then he gonna bust me out. I said, no, that ain't the same man, because I got conversation with this man. But I had already known that his car got shot up this summer. But what had thrown people off is they saw this clone walking around, and they were saying, well, he must have didn't get killed. Oh, we got killed all right. You see, it's just that they DNA clone. Okay. So he want to sign people up and all this type of stuff. Now, this is what the key is. So now, I give one of the brothers who had him come, and I give the brother a paper on some clones. I said, now, I need this paper for the clones to come back, because I'm going to talk about this. Some paper I got from D.C., some information on some clones, some government stuff. He comes and tells me that the brother that opened up, the one that was sounding like Farrakhan in the blue suit, say, this nigga, he don't go to no school. He don't even have a job. His mom and daddy ain't rich. They don't know nothing about this guy, but he goes to city to city. So we get this, he's not a clone, but he's an agent. This guy goes in the papers that I gave the brother about the clone. I gave him a lot of papers on the New World Order concentration camps. He don't get them. He take the one about the clone out and give the shit to Steve Coakley, and they haul ass with the papers. He called me up this morning saying, man, Steve Coakley got your papers on the clone. You want me to Federal Express? I'll call him back. I said, no, let him have the papers. That ain't nothing. I can get them back from Detroit. The brother who sent them to me, I can get them back. You see. But that just don't seem like Steve Coakley to me. A man that's talk about the government and know all this about the government and know all this about the Illuminati, know all this about concentration camps, know all this about the government and germ warfare. And all of a sudden, he's going to be down with a march, and not only be down with the march, if that's his view, but we're going to become a part of it. And we're going to have trips. And we're going to put a bag of stuff talking about the Brotherhood Black back, and we're going to have people out there with the hoods on. I said, what the hell going on? But when he told me this stuff about I heard you had a list because I got it from New York, and I'm saying, nigga, we had a whole conversation about this list, and you the one that verified, because you the one that gave me the fucking information. The detailed information. All I told you was a Mormon said there was a list. And he went into detailed information on how Farrakhan is in the trilateral. And all of a sudden, he's going to come back, this new man, like he don't know shit about it. I said, you straight up clone, but we knew that. Now, I want to show you this. How in the hell is Steve Coakley going to come from the students, name all the Boule members, and this is the key, and we got to use our brains. 2 days later, the Anti-Defamation League comes to Morehouse and put pressure on Morehouse, and they cut off all the money for the SGA so they won't bring no more speakers for the rest of the year. Now listen to this now. You got to just think for a minute. And the Anti-Defamation League and the Jews is the one that run Morehouse, because they're the one that got all the damn money. Right? Now, not only does he come back, because you can just say, well, they can't stop the students from having who they have it. But it's one thing for him to come that night. But you see, he spoke the next day at 12 o'clock in the assembly. And the assembly is not put on by the students. That's put on by the fucking damn school. That's my ride and my homeboy from way back. Hey, I'm going to put him on the spot. We go way back and stuff. We had a place called the Honeycomb Hideout. And when we was in college, they gave us a damn shack called the Honeycomb Hideout. And we was the Honeycomb boys. And we tell them, come to the Honeycomb Hideout. No hard heads allowed. And we had a thing. Look, they come to the Honeycomb Hideout,
take all the chairs and throw them out the damn windows. So we take all the chairs out the house and throw them in the window, so the sisters got to sit on the damn bed. But anyway, that's a long time ago. Now, where was I? So, but the assembly is put on by the doggone administration. And that's all boule. Then you know what's up with this thing. That's all boule. You don't get in the morning assembly, not unless you down with the clique. You see, now they got this whole Million Man March thing going down. And they've already shown it on TV on the doggone show. You see what I'm saying? And they want everybody to go, because this is the man's last woman. If you go read Exodus and understand what's going on, remember the evil Pharaoh comes after the people? That's the Million Man March, because it's all in the scriptures. Well, I said, well, you know, I wouldn't be inclined to say it went down that way based on the Charlton Heston thing, but also I know that if you go to any of the scriptures, that's the systems back then, they got an Exodus story. And the Kemetic one goes the same damn way. So I said, okay, I know what's going down now. Okay, that leads us to the O.J. Simpson trial. Now, I knew in January something is up. It came to me, I said, wait a minute. Judgment, trial, book of Revelation, book of the dead. I said, oh, wait a minute. But a judgment would have to be a trial on a miraculous proportion. See what I'm saying? And it might not go down as way it is indicated in the Bible or whatever, because those are a series of metaphysical events that you are looking for some hocus-pocus thing, but it's going to go down right amongst you. You see what I'm saying? There are several Bible prophecies that's been fulfilled, and it's been fulfilled in the context of the fucking earth. Right? And I said, wait a minute, judgment. I said, oh, this is the trial in Amenta. Amenta is the Egyptian West Bank, in the west. Not the city of Egypt, in the west. Amenta is in the west. I said, oh, the trial in Amenta. The great trial in judgment. And the Spirit said, you've just broken the seventh seal. Okay. I asked them, I said, well, let's see. Is there the scriptures? They say plenty. In the book of the dead. And I go and look, and I find this one on page 180 of Beginner's Guide to Revelation by Robin Robertson, page 180. And it's the final judgment of Horus and Set. Now, the original Set Typhon is the oldest god, one of the oldest ones, but the later Set Typhon in the Osirian drama is your Typhonians created the mutant. So when they had this big war that was going on between the Typhonians and the Osirians, they said, well, hell, since you created the mutant and you worship Set, we're going to call Set Typhon your creation. So the Set Typhon in the Osirian drama is the white man. Is the white man. Now, in here, it's a thing going on where Set Typhon in a trial is throwing all kinds of dirt out to prove that Heru or Horus, which is you, the Christ is in all of you, you are the Christ. You understand what I'm saying? Read the Holy Kabbalah. We'll read it in a few minutes to tell you the real deal on the Christ, because this is the metaphysical Bible and where your other Bible comes from. It comes out of this one. In the Bible you got, Christ is one person that you follow. In the original Bible, Christ is in all of you, and you follow Christ, meaning your body transformed into Christ. So now, Horus in here is you. There's a trial going on, so Set Typhon being the adversary of you has got to be the white man. This trial, they say, Heru, they said in this trial, it says, look at this. The appropriate at this time to return to the story of Isis, Osiris, and Heru, or Horus, which in itself is a trial or a final judgment. On a final judgment. Now look at this. And remember that Isis, in order to impregnate her Osiris, in order to impregnate Isis, before he retained the Eleusinian fields. Remember I was talking about the Eleusinian fields? That's that other dimension. I talked about that earlier in the lecture. And now look at this part. I want to get to the trial. At the trial, Set tried all his cunning, arguing that Horus
could not be the true heir of Osiris, since Osiris was already dead before Horus was conceived. Now, it's a metaphysical thing, and it's dealing with future events. The white boy in the trial tried all the cunning shit to set up the black man as a mass murderer. He did it in 91 with Wayne Williams, where they also took the doggone interferon and also set up the basis for what you call the Ebola today. Ebola was part of the study on this Ebola that you got today is based on the interferon things and the Atlanta child murders. You see what I'm saying? That's what the deal is. Now, check this out. They set up this trial. This trial is all a fucking stage show. First of all, they come out with a movie, The Fugitive, summer of 1993. Let's go down this fucking timeline. Going down this timeline. They put out this movie based on the 1960s TV show. 93, of a man falsely accused of killing his wife. It's Fugitive. Oh, you just reaching for shit, nigga. Okay. Well, let's see if we're reaching for shit. Let's go on. Then they put out a movie 2 or 3 months before Nicole is murdered. A movie called The Chase. A movie called The Chase with, what's the boy who played it? Charlie Sheen. This is the movie showing the events that's about to occur within the months to come. Now in the movie, he's already convicted of a crime. He gets in a car and he takes this girl hostage, a blonde girl. They're in this chase. The police find out about it and the doggone media find out about it, and they got this whole chase scene going. And they're showing this big chase scene in the movie. Now who would know that this would go accurately 2 or 3 months later? Because the movie was released in the fall, in the spring of 1994, The Chase. Let's go on. Let's see. In the movie, the girl asked him, you are a murderer, like all people suspect, because the doggone TV set is viewing him as a murderer. He says, I'm not a murderer. I was wrongly convicted because I was an innocent man. But I had a cut on my hand, and they used the DNA from the cut to frame me. Now, goddamn it, if that ain't the same shit, you don't have that kind of coincidence. But they had a faulty lab, and the evidence was faulty, but they framed me anyway. They framed me anyway. Let's go on. The movie The Chase with Charlie Sheen. Who is K.O. Kalin's best friend? Charlie Sheen. Didn't he go to the wedding? Now hell, if that ain't a coincidence, something going on. Well, let's go a little further then. Let's go a little further. First of all, they killed O.J. Simpson and cloned him before the whole shit went down. Although he didn't do the killings. Let's go on. They cloned him, and they cloned Nicole too. See, Ron Goldman just was at the wrong place at the fucking wrong time and got taken out. They put her on a doggone island somewhere. This is what we get now. But because I'm trying to say, I said, but wait a minute. There's some holes in this at first. I said, well, at first I said, if they got a movie of a man being wrongly convicted and cut his hand, and they frame him off of the DNA off of the cut on his hand, and they have a big chase scene, which we know is the movie. Go see the movie The Chase, Charlie Sheen. How could O.J., if a movie came out a couple of months, how can he go and cut his hand? You understand what I'm saying? Not unless he was a clone. And they programmed the clone to cut his hand. Or these clones, they can black that clone out, cut his hand, black him back in. Program it into his memory. See the show Nowhere Man. Come on every Monday night. Give you all the shit on the damn New World Order. It ain't on the fucking X-Files. That's one part. But they wishy-washy. See the Nowhere Man. Yes. Channel 69, the Universal Paramount Network. You remember one show where they had the girl sitting in front of the camera and he was asleep? And she programmed herself in his dreams, and he fell in love with her in his dreams. When he woke up, she was already in a part of his memory.
That's right. What time?
Come on, 9 o'clock.
Monday nights.
Yeah, right. 9 o'clock.
Yeah, stop.
Now, check this out. Check this out. Okay, so they programmed him and they set up the whole thing. Check this baby out. The whole courtroom, straight up clones. All of them, straight up clones. The jury, no, wait a minute. The jury, his lawyers, the prosecution, and Judge Ito. Now check this out. Remember Johnny Cochran and them came on late. That was Michael Jackson's lawyer. He came on late. We got some papers from doggone Detroit where, what's his name, both, what's the other guy, Shapiro and the other guy? No, the other one. Shapiro, no, not Barry Sheck. Barry Sheck and Johnny Cochran. F.B. Bailey, they was on the side of the prosecution. They was working that shit. The reason why I know, because Shapiro, how the hell you going to be winning favors from the prosecution and winning favors to get a just trial, and you going to go and make fun of damn Japanese and you know the fucking judges are Japanese? Let's go a little further. First of all, Kato Kalin was in on the shit from the get-go. He came on anyway. When did he come on? First of all, this is the deal. He came on about around 1992. Same time the whole Rodney King incident. It's all phase 2. He got up in there and he was working with the government. They told him, we want you to be in the house at the right time to make sure nobody else don't come there. Yeah, I come in to visit OJ, his family members, and blow the plan. And we set up everything. You're going to let us in. We're going to plant the socks and all this. And we promise to, what little bit of the movie career you got, we promise to give you a little bit of, revitalize your movie career, whatever type shit. Start off with some malls. Because remember, the first thing he went to a presidential ball. Now what the hell is Kato Kalin doing going to a presidential ball? You see what I'm saying? Okay. Okay, check this out. Now, Kato Kalin, all of them in there, next thing we know, they got another ball. Who's hanging out together but Kato Kalin and fucking Shapiro? They got a party, both of them hanging out together. You see what I'm saying? All hooked up. Let's go on. Now, if you notice, but like I said, Kato Kalin best friends with Charlie Sheen. It made the movie called The Chase, which is the O.J. Simpson trial. All right. What the deal is Judge Ito, remember when the damn trial, when the tapes, they can go off and on. You remember when the tapes was going, when they had the tapes and he broke down and started crying because his fucking wife was part of it? Now wait a minute, now hold on now. Let's look at this thing. How in the hell are they going to pick a judge whose wife is the head of the LAPD in whom the damn defense is saying framing damn OJ? That's a conflict of interest. Don't tell us now that the trial is over that you're talking about it's a conflict of interest when the tapes come up and her ass on the tapes. You see what I'm saying? He starts crying and start breaking down. They go in and switch the fucking clone, and that motherfucker come back straight up, no nonsense. No nonsense. At all. The only reason why the what's-the-name was not the players, and it was all set up. You can understand it was all set up because the media got right on it from day one. It was a big media event. You see what I'm saying? The shit was all set up. Why the hell, who you think gonna make, they can't afford to make those kind of big deals with CNN. You understand where I'm coming from? With CNN and all of that, and all around the world, and for that shit to be a real trial. Just like you watch a TV show, that's what you was watching. But the players was all in on that thing. OJ, the reason why the gloves couldn't fit, because they had done cloned his ass, and the fucking other clone had bigger, the damn hands was too fucking big. Those was his gloves, because damn Kato Kalin gave them to him. You see what I'm saying? Kato Kalin gave him to him, you see. All of that. Now the key is, Johnny Cochran was a thorn in the side. They say, okay, cool, don't make no difference, because even though Johnny Cochran can put on his best program, the fucking jury, straight up robots. I'm telling you, this shit is real. Get the Matrix 2. They're dealing with all, that's what they're dealing with. They might be black, and they putting on this stage show, Straight up robot. Well, somebody was saying, what's the motive? The motive is they're trying to establish martial law. They're trying to get phase 2 of the march that the doggone government started in the, of the riot, excuse me, that the government started with Rodney King incident. You see what I'm saying? Now the movie comes out to even add insult to injury called Just Cause. A movie about a knife and somebody cutting up some white girls. They say, well, hell, we can't say that. They say because this movie was written before the OJ incident, but when was it written? Well, the guy started writing on it in 1992. This fucking government had done staged the shit. He was writing on it right as phase 2. They was getting ready. They orchestrated this whole thing because all what you see on that TV right now is all choreographed. To the fucking T, you see. So now, the doggone jury, straight up robot, straight up clone. So it don't make no difference. They're going to convict him of. Hoping that in some type of degree it's going to start a right. That's what they're hoping. Or the doggone race relations and all that kind of thing. You see. That's what they're hoping. You see. But now the key is most young people don't even know who the hell O.J. Simpson is. The ones that's going to be out there fighting. Shit, O.J. Simpson was gone. O.J. Simpson was gone out of the limelight for 16 years now. You see what I'm saying? So now, this whole thing is choreographed around this whole key. Now, who else? Michael Jackson, straight up clone. The whole deal is what you're thinking about the doggone skin, the whole acid pill. If you see the last videos, he's white. They say he's white all the way down to his penis. That's because they got the genetic engineering going. The other one is in a concentration camp in Europe. You see, straight up clone. This thing is huge. You see. Well, I don't, she's nobody, so she probably, married him or whatever kind of thing and all. But this cat here is straight up clone. Oh, well, see, they're bringing it out because look at this. Is the president? Look at this. First of all, we know that Clinton is a damn clone. The crackers told me this up in Buckhead. This farm boy right here, he saw one of the clones. Because see, with the president, they might have 4, 5, 6 clones. He saw one of the clones right here, and this is what it says right here. It says, the seal of the clone of the president, Tim Waters. So in actuality, he saw one of the clones at a computer convention, right? At a computer convention, and here's the picture of the clone. So they got several doggone clones right here. You can see the picture of the clone right here, but they show you right there, seal of the clone. You see? The crackers told me that out in Buckhead. They said, oh man, they cloning niggas. They say, shit, the president a clone. You see what I'm saying? Is a doggone clone. So this whole thing was supposed to go down this way because the key to this thing is the judgment that they're dealing with now is the trial ain't about the damn players and it ain't even about O.J. The trial is the trial in Hemmitt. We went into the Hemmitt period when the white buffalo was born on the mounds last year. We came out of the Hemmitt period July 23rd, and the Hemmitt period is what the white people call it the photon belt. It's the black hole. It's all of the actual cosmic power zones that you call planets lining up. But it's dimensional. And those particular cosmic power zones are all lined up. They lined up on May. When was Mother's Day? Mother's Day, 14th. Which is 1 and 4 is 5. And all. Which they say May 5th, 2000. But we know based on the Sophic calendar, this is the year 2000 because the other one is 5 years off. So now, the great trial in Hemmitt that they're talking about is the O.J. Simpson trial, which ain't got nothing to do with that. The crackers have judged themselves. See, that's the whole thing. It wasn't about who was on trial because it was them on trial with the devious. That's why when what's his name, and it's not reaching for shit. Things don't happen for no reason. That's why when Marsha Clark came up and said, well, is Mark Furman a racist? Yes. She's speaking for all damn white people. Certainly no Mark Furman is the damn author of racism. That's their fucking nature. She says, should he have never been on the planet? No. Well, she has made the call. Should we have never been on the planet? No. You see?
Johnny Cochran is the key player up in the damn thing when he come on there and give that whole proverb shit. Well, if you read the contentions of Horus and Set, you can get a part of that papyrus. It's funny because one of the brothers sent me a papyrus because there's several versions of this papyrus, but you can get the whole one in Contendings of Horus and Set. In this book, let me give you in this particular book, on page 444, From Fetish to God in Ancient Egypt, E. Wallace Budge, one of his best books that he finally got the Egyptian thing right, or the Kemetic thing right, the last year of his life, 1935. And in here on page 444 is a complete copy of that one. But there's different versions. One of the brothers sent me a version, because see, they do a lot of work, and they do a lot of doggone research and papyrus work that you never get to see, because they put out books for research and they be in the libraries in these certain archives that only these white people get to see. And you can go up in there and sometimes you can Xerox them. But the thing about it, they was never intended for the public, so they never put them out in book form. So what happened is there's several versions, but they gave me the complete version, and the brother sent me the complete version from doggone Detroit. And I read it, and it's got all the trial up in there. But he sent me the trial, which is the first part of the book, and he had to go back and Xerox the second part of the book, which is the judgment, what is happening after the trial. So, shit, he put that in the mail Friday. So, I'm interested to see what this stuff is. Because it's a bunch of series of papyrus that's coming out of the British museums that they had hid. That the white people, these top Egyptologists translated. And I got the first part of the trial, and it's all that stuff that was going on is in there. But you can get a version, like I said, in this one, and also a shorter version in this one. Robin Robertson's book, the Beginner's Guide to Revelation, a Jungian interpretation, which Jung, he's dealing from Jung, which he's dealing with archetypes and things on more of a metaphysical reason. And so now, but this one, he gave me the trial, and I read it, and now I'm getting ready to get the actual judgment of what this particular trial was. And some of the same sayings that came out of Psalms is in that trial. You see, in that trial. Which leads me to the book that was left out of the Bible, the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch. Now look at this. Let me go into a few things on this, on the book of Enoch, and show you some things here. Look at this. Now you can get this particular book of Enoch. There's one in the store here. In the book of Enoch, they had to take it out. It was because it was talking too much judgment things. But they went too far to say who was going to be judged. They didn't say no sinners. They say the rulers of the earth. The plowman will overtake his master. You see what I'm saying? So they said too many things, and it was too descriptive on who was going to be judged. So the white boys had to take that out of the Bible or the Conference of Nicaea, because they could not manipulate it like they could manipulate the rest of it. So they had to extrapolate the whole book, you see. Now, it's funny because this guy that's giving the commentary on page 67 said, when I have studied this book, and this is the conclusion. He said, I got problems with this. This is what the white boy said, because he's thinking that white and black is all one in the fucking same. He said, but he's telling, but he makes a good observation. He says, seeing that God is a just God, let me get something. Get my throat right. Seeing that God is a just God, how come the wickedness, which is the powers that be, the white man, is throned, who's on the throne, because this is the book of end times, in high places, and the righteousness oppressed? There is no end to the prosperity of the unbelieving rulers, and no recompense, or what this, I see what it's saying. It's talking about a recompensation, a recompense towards the suffering and the righteousness. He's saying, although, and that's what we say, that's the way we feel now. Hell, we are down here and we suffering, and look like ain't no end to this fuckaroo, and ain't no end to our suffering. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no end to our suffering. He says, but also
he says, but their suffering is rewarded after a while. Then he says this. He says about their suffering, he says, but the kings of the mighty of the earth trust in their scepter and glory, which means we don't trust in no spiritual laws. Hell, we trust in our science that we God, the fake God, but hell. And it says, and the oppressed and the elect and the children of God, they say, and it says, and the oppressed and the elect of the children of God, they're just like, it's like what you would call a disenfranchised. It says, but the prayer of the righteousness, ascends, and their blood goes before the Lord in the spirits, crying vengeance. And the angels unite in the prayer of the righteousness, but the oppression of the kings of the mighty will not continue forever. So what it's saying is they pray, and after a while their prayers are answered. But it says here that their prayers, and it says, but their blood goes before the Lord of the spirits. Now, when you're dealing with blood, the blood that they're talking about is not necessarily talking about the life force. Although the melanin is in the blood, but also when you start dealing with the Holy Grail, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, you'll start dealing with what is called melanin, which is what is called melanin, or it's called the oil, the anointing oil, which the anointed Christ, the anointed one, is all of you are anointed. Christ is anointed in the head. You see, Christ is anointed in the head. There's sections in here. Look at this. Look at this. Let's go into this one part right here. Look at this. When the congregation of the righteous shall appear, the sinners shall be judged for their sins and shall be driven from the face of the earth. Now, the word sinner that you think of in moralistic Christianity based on a religious base is different than the sin of esoteric Christianity, Hebrewism. Sin means restriction. Your body is restricted. That's why they say you're born into sin. And your body is restricted. And what they mean here when they say sins meaning restriction, they're talking about a restricted body that cannot do the things that it once used to do when you were in the heaven realm before you fell into the third dimensional density. So what are they talking about here? So the sinners is not really talking about us because we got a gateway out. That's the melanin. That's the gateway. The sinners that they're talking about got to be white people because they cannot raise the spiritual energies to a certain level because they got a calcified pineal gland. Fuck it, they mute. So the sinners that they're talking about, his sin means restriction in esoteric knowledge. And it says, when the righteous one shall appear before the eyes of the righteous, and whose elect hand upon the spirits, and the light will appear on the righteousness and the elect and the elect who dwell on the earth. Now, where the dwelling of the sinners were a resting place, those who denied the Lord of spirits, and the good of them, if they had been born, and the good of them, it says, and if they had never been born. So what they're saying here is that the ones who are the unrighteousness, they wish they would never have been born. Now look at this part here. This is real. Look at this part. It says, okay, in these days, the downcast, which is us, it says, shall be the kings of the earth have become, which means you're going to be the kings of the earth. And the strong who possess the land of the works of their hand. And it says, for the anguish and the affliction shall not be able to save themselves. So they're saying the strong who possess the land, you see what I'm saying? They will not be able to save them for themselves. So this particular book of Enoch that they're talking about here is a book that's talking about the judgment. But when you read this book, the black one that she has, it has just the straight manuscript is coming from the biblical proportion that they took out. The one that they have at the bottom, a lot of time with these translations that they're dealing with, they throw you off because they're dealing with it on what you would call a
what you would call a esoteric teachings. And if you read these translations, your spirit can actually translate these particular translations with you. You see what I'm saying? If you read them the right way, they can translate these particular translations with you if you do it that way. Now, it's interesting because there's a book called Enochian World of Aleister Crowley. And in there, they're going to show you computer chips. They're going to show you computer chips that are a couple of million years old. White boy knew all about this shit, and this is where he get the basis of his computer from, based on Queen Elizabeth had a magician called Dr. John Dees, who had uncovered these particular manuscripts that came from the Moors. The Moors brought all this Enochian stuff up and left it in the University of Salamanca at Spain. And then when those universities got torn down, they had all these loose papyruses and manuscripts. And they left these things. And there's a computer chip that you will see in there, but in actuality, the computer chips that they show in here that the white boy manufactures to make the computer, the artificial brain, those computer chips that they show in the Enochian things is in your brain. You see what I'm saying? Then you can understand how the white boy can take your computer chip out and put his computer chip in by programming you through slavery. You see, through slavery. Those particular ones are in that particular book. Which leads me to this book, Coming Into Light. Now, it's a bigger volume book now. You can get it next door. It's called Coming Into Light. Which this particular book has a lot of rituals and spells by the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Kemites. But it says in the foreword, it says, all gods are but one God. All religions are but one religion. The universe exists in the mind of God. And the Son, the man, the child, and the Father are but one God. So if the universe exists in the mind of God, and man is nothing but God, is it not written in the law that ye are gods? What about the universe that exists in the mind of man? You see what I'm saying? And the rational mind, logical mind is a cheat. It's all a hologram. It does not exist. And if you can program the hologram or program the real mind, you can get out of the hologram. That's what you call the dream state. They talk about in melanin, the dream state. Now it's interesting that the dream state that they're talking about is this. Yes, when you go to bed, most of the time when you dream, you might just be dreaming about ice cream or some fucking bugs or some shit, just some crazy stuff. But every now and then, you might have a real deal dream that literally shapes your life. That is because when you tap into certain things in dreams, some of the things you're seeing is the other side. It's not the illusionary world, and you get out of the hologram. And after a while, those things shape your life. That's why the dream state is a deeper part of your subconscious, which is the real you. You see. So now, all it is your brain is this. This is a hologram. It does not exist. That's why you don't deal with matters on the mundane level. All it is you are sitting, a spirit is inside of you, which is you, and it's sitting before a screen. And that particular screen that it is sitting before is showing a movie, showing a doggone movie. And that movie is the role that you have right now in your life, which does not exist. It's a series of events that don't exist, and that's brought on by the ego. So when you suppress that particular ego, you see, those suppressed, by dealing with the suppressed memories on the inside of you, you have a glimpse of the real world. And that's what happens when you go into the dream state, you see, based on melanin. That's why Richard King told you that the melanin has a lot to do with the doggone dreams, you see. But on the other hand, that's a glimpse of what it is. So this is the holographic universe. So now, this leads to this particular question. Say, well, nigga, you've been coming up and you've been speaking this shit for the longest of times. And seem like our condition does not actually change. And even I had to really grasp about what I was saying when I was channeling, and it came through. And this is what it means. What happens is, if this is an illusion in a hologram, based on the book, Michael Talbot's book, The Holographic Universe, based on quantum physics, this does not exist. In ancient India, this is called Maya, illusion. If this is an illusion in a hologram, what is about to become and what is about to come
as far as you going back to the other realm, if this is a hologram, that which is real cannot show up in the hologram. That means in some parallel dimension, which is the dimension that you're going on, all the series of events that you call revelation and you call those particular things are going on parallel while you still stuck in the hologram. And the reason why I say, well, hell, why can't I see this stuff come into the physical? Because you contradict yourself. The physical does not exist. You understand what I'm saying? So in the other thing, but see, based on what goes on in the other dimension is shaping your life. So you see a great trial that's going on. You understand what I'm saying? You know that that same trial that's going on is the same trial that's going on in the greater mysteries of the Amenta or of Revelations. You see what I'm saying? And if you just basically pay attention to what is going on based on the weather, based on the social climates and all, you will understand that that is the holographic form that's already acting out something that's going on in the other dimension. So therefore, it's already going on for the simple fact we live in two different times than what we did in the 1970s and the 1980s. You see what I'm saying? You see, so, well, we'll say at least from 1985 on up, 10 years, we live in the two different times. So in actuality, what we're talking about is going on, but you're saying, well, hell, that's still right. And I ask the question myself. Well, shit, if this is a hologram and the other stuff is already happening, when the hell are we going to benefit from it? You see what I'm saying? And basically what we're talking about here is the energy of you literally waking up and you shattering the hologram. Now, let's look at this. One particular part of that is when you deal with that is in the tarot. Now, the tarot that people thought was supposed to be something that you read people's divination. You read the fortune and all that. The original tarot is the one that is made up of the archetypes that is in your mind. And each tarot card that you get to is an indication based on what level you are in your spiritual vessel, but also what level the earth is also too. Then we can understand, well, why all of a sudden that the government is going to set up a 1,000,000-man march. Not Minister Louis Farrakhan. The government set the shit up. You see what I'm saying? Well, let's look at this part and let's see. October is what? Libra, right? Okay, let's see what Libra is. Y'all bear with me and we're going to a question and answer because I want to deal with some things, but I want to show you this. October is Libra. And in Libra, in this book, in this particular book here, this particular book is set up not for a tarot divination while you go and tell some future. This is the Book of Thoth by Aleister Crowley. Awas gave him this particular information, and this is the only valid, real tarot book left on the planet. Both this one and the tarot system of the Golden Dawn. The other ones are used for divination. This one is used based on the cosmic energy, the cycles, and everything that's going down as far as the earth realm and going down in your body. So this is the one to get. It's very hard to read, and if you are going to study it, study the contents real good because it doesn't have an index. So you're going to have to study the contents real good because it doesn't have an index. Now let me get this one last piece. Here it is. Libra. Now in here they're going to show Libra. Libra is the judgment. And the judgment is a card called Justice. And from September the 22nd to September the 23rd to October the 22nd. And it's called the Goddess of Justice. Now anybody know about Egyptian mythology? The Goddess of Justice is Maya. So it's interesting that the Pope and all of this particular stuff is going down in October because that's Mayat's month. You see what I'm saying? Now it's interesting because this book comes from England. $20 book. It ain't look like much, but it's a $20 book called Apocalypse of St. John, Emil Bach. And in this particular book, he's going to give you a section saying that all the stuff that goes on in the summer, the winter months is the harvest time. Or the fall months is the harvest time, like you have the state fair and all that stuff. Well, there's stuff that they got based on celebrating different angelic months and stuff that come all the way from Ancient time. So now in here, there's a certain harvest, and there's also the month of the Archangel Michael. And if you notice the Archangel Michael, he's going to explain to you, is the fighter of the book of Revelation. In Egypt, he's Heru or Har-Marku, which is the symbol of the Sphinx. So the Archangel Michael is the one who is the man on the white horse in the book of Revelation. And there's a harvest thing, and there's a whole month of October, September that is celebrated of the Archangel Michael. Also, it's the goddess of justice. And it says the goddess of justice may be an attribute here that is in a higher self. In the higher self, it says the main idea is the satisfied woman. So now they talk about Maya, the god of justice, but for some reason she's been satisfied after all these time cycles. We wonder when this shit is getting over. Well, all of a sudden she is satisfied. And it says Saturn is exalted here. And it says this card represents the sign of Libra, ruled by Venus, and Saturn is also exalted. The equilibrium of all things hereby symbolized. It is the final judgment in the formula of tetragrammaton or tetragrammation, which means the Godhead, Yahweh, spiritual illumination. When the daughter is redeemed by her sacred marriage with the son, whereby set up the throne of the mother, and finally she is awakened the eld father of the universe. This card is the spiritual correspondence of the fool. There's different tarot cards and they have different things. This is going on. The fool is also talking, is a card for melanin. And when this particular card appears on the month, it says, when the Holy One appeared, then the Holy One appeared, and the great water of the north, and the golden dawn did he appear, bringing benediction to the fallen universe. This particular card is balanced against all high thought. No, about balance against each thought. It is exact the opposite. When the marriage of these particular marriage, they're talking about a sacred marriage, when this marriage occurs, the annihilation of illusion or the hologram occurs. Justice, rather, it says justice and all acts of judgment. That's why this particular trial is going on. Isn't it interesting that this particular trial went into the jury phase and the closing argument right at the time that Libra comes in, which is the both scales and justice. But it says that also it is justice, and it also says this. It says it's also justice against all disillusion in material matters, and may refer to lawsuits and prosecutions. So what it's talking about here, if they're talking about justice, surely if the doggone O.J. Simpson trial or whatever thing comes out and they doggone find him guilty, don't mean it's justice to us, but then again we understand that we talk about events that's bigger than just the damn trial. So if they find him guilty, it's like them finding themselves guilty. You see, like them finding themselves guilty. And it's interesting because we talk about the illusion, and they talk about this particular time as tearing down the physical matter or the hologram. And isn't it interesting, what tears down the physical matter in the hologram? When the earth goes into what is called the abyss period or the emitter period of a black hole. And isn't it interesting that the damn black hole would come up in the trial? Did you hear this thing about this black hole? Now, what are the odds of a damn black hole coming up in the trial? What are the odds of Johnny Cochran quoting from doggone Proverbs and say what will be in the dark will come to the light? All of that particular things is set on where the earth realm sets on certain series of events, whether you think you playing it out or whether you think somebody else is playing it out. The earth realm is setting up certain series of events. You see, certain series of events. Now let's go on, and so we can go into a certain question and answer right quick. Isn't it interesting? And I told you they're getting ready to set up doggone Colin Powell for the Christ. Rush Limbaugh was on TV, and I just so happened to turn on the damn radio and see this clown. But he made an interesting statement. He said last night he was just thumbing through the TV set and he was watching Sequest. And he said it was interesting that when he was watching Sequest, which is supposed to be something in the future, but not so future distance off, next coming years, going somewhere to the 2000s. He said it was interesting because they had a picture of the president on the wall, and it was fucking Colin Powell. You see, Colin Powell, the clone Colin Powell. All interesting, because they know that they cannot front this whole thing. They was going to give this thing, this fake president called the Lord Maitreya. But now, they're saying that since America is brewing up with so much racial tension, we're going to do better than that. We're going to give somebody who ain't black and who ain't white. Well, who can you give? Well, in actuality, they said we're going to give a black man, but he's going to be in the favor of us. For the simple doggone fact that not only is he the Joint Chiefs of Staff, but we're going to make sure that he don't change from that, but we're going to make sure because he's a doggone clone. He was a damn clone before they even gave him the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You don't think they're going to put a damn black man, a real deal black man, in a position like that? He was a damn clone then. You see what I'm saying? He was a doggone clone then. Now, it's interesting because when I called, let me show you this. When I called the brother in Indiana, he told me some things, and the brother called back. He said, well, I want to show you something. He said, I started doing the pendulum, and I got that fucking Asa was a clone. Well, let's see if Asa's a clone. Well, he did join the Negro Boule. See, I got that Leonard Jeffries was a clone. Well, it's interesting. Well, that would be right, because every time somebody fuck with them Jews, they're cloning somebody, taking somebody out. He said that he got, we know Steve Coakley, Louis Farrakhan, Colin Powell, Gaddafi, Manuel Noriega, Saddam Hussein, Michael Jackson. But check this out. He also said, when he said Leonard Jeffries, it's funny. Now, we know damn well when Steve Coakley came the other night, we know that Leonard Jeffries wouldn't be seen 2 blocks, you see, with doggone Steve Coakley. All of a sudden, Steve Coakley said he having a doggone meeting, him, Khalid Muhammad, and Leonard Jeffries having a doggone meeting together. Now, I know another thing, too, that's funny. He also said that Brother Tony Muhammad called in and was talking shit about the Boule, telling him about these Boule members. These Boule members don't exist, and I don't know where you get this stuff about the Boule. And I'm saying something is mighty funny, because I know the Tony Muhammad. I know the one. And that one, shoot, we was in a group called the New World Order, and Tony Muhammad was down with all of that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying, if Tony Muhammad is trying to sabotage the doggone knowledge on the Boule, saying it don't exist, then you got to understand one thing too. Clone. Why? Because I told you at first that they told me, when they told me the places I couldn't go as one of these white college campuses, it's interesting that one of the #1 speakers on the white college campus, one of the most loved speakers among black people on college campuses, is Brother Tony Muhammad. You see what I'm saying? So they getting to all the brothers and sisters. I don't know about the sisters or whatever type thing and all, but I'm saying they're getting to all these particular black leaders, you see. Also, too, one of the things is what they're doing to make the news become more suitable to you as far as when you turn on the news. That's why they give you a sister, a black woman. They give you that particular black woman to give you the doggone news. And they might give you a brother, but a lot of it they give the doggone black woman. So therefore, when they give you all this doggone news about all the killings of black people and the stuff that's going on, you can say, well, it can't be that racist because they got a black newswoman up there, and she's looked on as a certain authority, so you figure the hell, the earth can't be that bad because they got this black newscaster. And it's also like giving you this particular information with honey if a black woman is telling you this particular information. That's why every major city with a strong black population, if you notice, they got a black newswoman. They even have them down in Columbia, South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina. They got them all over South Carolina because South Carolina is one of your leading states with the most blacks in the country. You see what I'm saying? What? Right. So so they got them all over in major cities. They got this particular black woman. This particular black woman that is the one that's supposed to be giving up this particular information to feed you this particular information with honey. So now I want to go into a few things that I want to deal with some books. One of this book is Mary Hope's Practical Egyptian Magic. Another one that you need to get again. Got a lot of good stuff up in this book. One of the things is this. She's got a whole section in here talking about Sirius, the new cosmic magic. It says this. Okay, check this out. It says, it matters not, but somehow the magical systems filter down to us through the ages. Many reliable psychics, mystics, firmly believe and subscribe that the idea of a special genetic gene, personalized time capsule programmed with the old ones, with the knowledge of the old ones, who came from the Sirius star system centuries ago. This gene has been passed down from generation to generation, to present to the present day. And it says, this Sirius genetic gene is a new school of magic emerged. And it says what happens is, when we go to a certain time zone, this particular gene capsule is triggered. And you will automatically have the knowledge of the old ones. But what they're telling you is this Sirius gene is nothing but melanin. So the whole key, the brother asked the question, what can we do to get back to our godhood? If it's a part of your genetic makeup, you understand what I'm saying? Based on a certain time, it's no different than when you get a certain age, you get pubic hairs, or the women get breasts. You understand what I'm saying? You get a beard. Well, it's the same thing when you get a certain age in your reincarnation cycle, which is now. You understand? That genetic blueprint opens up anyway. So it's going to open up anyway. You see, it's going to open up anyway. So it's a very good book. They also talk about it here where they give a good observation that you need to. What's the sister that was doing all this stuff about homosexuality was started in Egypt? Alicia. And what's her name? Alicia Banks. Alicia Banks. They give a good observation in here. They get a good observation in here. Let me show you what page it's on. About homosexuals was banned from the temple work or dealing with the actual temple work. In page 104, they give a good information about homosexuals was banned from the temple work. Now, what are they talking about? Are they talking about the physical act of homosexuality? Well, if the physical don't exist, then obviously they can't be talking about nothing in the physical. But we understand they're talking about based on black people, not what white people do. But they're talking about based on certain energies. When you incarnate, you have certain energies with you. The female has a negative energy and the male has a positive energy, like AC/DC. So it's not good to cross up positive with positive and negative with negative. You understand what I'm saying? It's not good to cross up that particular thing, but they have a lot of good stuff in here on good practical rituals. One was you're always supposed to invoke Tahuti, Anubis, Anpu or Anubis when you go out to protect your home. My brother did it one day and came back. A big black dog was sitting on the front doorstep. You see? Said he didn't know where the hell his dog, but he said, oh, I forgot I invoked Anubis. There's a lot of practical rituals up in here. Another book is called Applied Magic, Aspects in Occultism by Dion Fortune. And they got a whole chapter in here on the non-humans. The non-humans. Book. She has about 4 books over there, A Kabbalah for the Modern World, which in this book they show you the black dot in the sperm cell, and they also show you the rays of the sun in here, and also they show you the first primal dot, and from that dot make the right rays, but those rays are in you. So this is a greater concept of how you are God, based on it in this book, A Kabbalah for the Modern World by Magine Gonzalez Whippler. Gonzalez, Wippler. Whippler. They have some over next door. You need to get that particular book. That particular book. Here's another book on the Necronomicon you might can get from it's a little $4 book called Cthulhu, The Myth and the Kendrick Horrors. Cthulhu, which I'll close, but I want to give you a bit of information that's coming out of my new book on the Necronomicon. And check this out. Now this particular part here is dealing with what the white people are saying about your higher selves. The more we know about the great old ones, the worse it looks for the human race. They're talking about white people. Humanity likes to fancy itself as the Lord of creation. able giving a sufficient time and effort to conquer the problems through application and logic and creativity. But within the Cthulhu myth, Cthulhu is Osiris. So Osiris is you. Within the Cthulhu myth, however, this is received to be a lie. It is a comforting dissolution. No, it's a comforting dissolution of a fundamentally inadequate race. So they say it's a lie. It's only a dissolution of a fundamentally inadequate race, which is white people. According to the mythos, not only are we inferior to the older races of the galaxy, we are constitutionally and perhaps neurotically incapable of acknowledging our own inferiority. That's the white man. When human minds is brought into forcibility contact with the realities of the mythos, which they're talking about black people, the usual response is either death or madness. We are simply unequipped to deal with the realities of the universe. Now that is why it is interesting that when you talk about racism, it's not a damn voting box. It's not a choice. They cannot take your energy. You see what I'm saying? They cannot take your energy. You have a certain current, and when you go into that particular energy, you see, they cannot take your energy. So it's a form of nature that a certain species kill off the other. You see what I'm saying? So they can't take your energy, so their natural response is to hate you. They can be trained and adapted to take the ability based on psychological purposes, but not solely. You understand what I'm saying? But on the other hand, one way that they are able to take your energy is when you come in contact with that mutant energy, because you're like a fine-tuned stereo. You can do miraculous things, but also the stereo stuff is delicate. You know what I'm saying? That's why he can take all the drugs and shit, because he ain't nothing but a damn puss in the first place. So when you come into that, it shuts down your ability. You understand? It says, so what is the fate of mankind? A kind of man, white man. Are we doomed to random annihilation by the forces beyond our comprehension? Perhaps we are destined to become mindless slaves to some immoral alien race. You damn right. Us. It says, on the other hand, perhaps even these hopeless people, it says, sinisters, contain an element of vainglory. Whatever they mean by that, look at this, let's see. Why, after all, should the great old ones even care whether our mad, insignificant race lives or dies? No, I think you're doing some wishful thinking there, motherfucker. Certainly, they seem to have some sort of interest in our little green planet. No, your little green ass, your little white ass. For reasons of their own. You are like telling the truth. It's our planet, shit. For reasons of their own. But it does not necessarily follow that they will find any reason to exterminate or enslave or even notice us more than momentarily curiosity. That's bullshit. Perhaps our little race will maybe allowed to continue for a few thousand or millions of years. Now you really dreaming. Before it is finally consumes extermination in the natural order of things, and in perhaps the ultimate, it is the ultimate cosmic insult. It is the ultimate cosmic insult for you to even say something like that. But in here, this particular book I'm putting out, this is stuff that's coming from London, England. And in here, they have a whole chronology of stuff that is dealing with 15 billion years, 46 billion years, and they got a whole history of the earth of just black people before white people even was on the damn thing. So now, based on this other thing I'm giving you, there is a whole list of history that the cracker has hid underground. And for the Afrocentric scholars that just start with Africa, they don't even know. If this cracker is cloning people and doing diabolical acts, don't you know that if you come up and do your little ASCAC program and get your little bit of stuff together, don't you know he has to agree on that shit before he even lets you see them books? So he put out a whole bunch of books, and you think you stumble up on some stuff, say, I got the secret, and he laughed, and he said, I put that out there for you to get. I got the real deal stuff for your history that goes back millions of years, you see, millions of years. So this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a certain